War! Astrogoblin is crumbling under attacks by the ruthless duo, Paul and Hollis Davids. There are oafs on both sides. Zoochberry juice is everywhere. As our heroes attempt to flee the besieged podcast with their sanity intact, a mysterious ship with X-shaped wings leads a desperate mission to save the goblins from a dire fate. This is Galactic Book Club.
I've got a bad feeling about this. I have a bad feeling about this.
I have a bad feeling about this.
I've got a bad feeling about this. I've got a bad
Feeling about this.
feeling about this.
I forgot about the X-Wings making an appearance.
Finally,
the
yeah.
X-Wings!
X-Wings!
The
Sorry, spoiler alert for
Eagles!
the book, but X-Wings are back, baby!
Well, I was thinking so much about the end that I forgot there was anything of note to be joyous about.
I think it's
And
all
wanna-
end. This
I
whole
wanna
book is
say-
end.
I'm glad to be here with both of you at the end of all things.
Just like Narnia?
I'm so glad this is over. I can't wait to sit down on a Thursday night to read a book I want to read and not think, oh fuck, I have to read this
Yeah.
dog shit.
Yeah, basically, like, get to the end of the night. It's happened so many times. Get to the end of a Thursday, be like,
Time to relax.
Can't wait
Especially
to take a bath and
That-
masturbate.
now you use the bubbles as lubricant.
I do.
Yeah.
It stings bad.
I won't
but it's
deny
worth it.
that I've read one of these in a bath.
Oh, I thought you were going to say, well, masturbate.
That's impossible.
Well,
to what?
That's impossible.
To who?
He is
Hogan, the
to
healer?
Kate,
Oh, to
who's
Kate.
gone.
Ah.
Never
She's-
showed up
She
again.
never shows up. She's cleaning up all of Han's baths, I guess.
I remembered her being like such a pivotal character when I was a kid, and she is gone.
She has a she's very big in the third book.
Yeah.
Then is mentioned in the fourth
She's
book.
present.
And
she
then
goes to
just
vacation.
completely
She's
disappeared.
normal size.
So when I was reading this book, I was worried that it would be our first 25-minute episode.
Right.
Because when I say nothing happens in this book, I mean
hang on.
Oh, a
nothing
lot happens in this.
Yeah,
Things actually
come
happen in this
on.
one.
not
Read the back of the book
well,
of the
it's
Prophets
gone
of the
from
Dark
my
Side.
mind.
Well, before I do that, I just want to say this book is like 50 pages long on Kindle.
It's
not
pretty
like,
short.
It's I think the shortest one. It's longer in this because of the pictures.
I made my
but,
print bigger, so it was more
Yeah.
pages.
Here we go.
Why
Prophets
would
of
you
the
want
Dark
more
Side.
pages?
So I feel like a big smart boy.
While on a perilous quest in the mushroom forests of Arzid, Luke and Ken are captured by Kadan, having tempted the young Jedi Prince into revealing the location of the lost city of the Jedi.
Which is the end.
Which also doesn't. That's
This is
not
the
what
back
happens.
of the book. This
really.
is
I guess it
this
kind of
spoils
is.
the whole book.
The Supreme Prophet plans to steal the ancient knowledge of the Jedi Knights. Now Kadan will rule over a new tyrannical empire, as foretold by the Prophets of the Dark Side.
That tells the whole story. That's the story right there.
Yep, that's what happens.
So, quick overarching note is the Hollises have two modes, which
Yeah.
this book really brings it home. The first is crushing boredom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The purgatory,
Fascinating
DMV
boredom.
is
Yeah.
purgatory
Yeah.
vibe. The second is unbelievable suffering.
Yeah.
Some of the most nightmarish punishments,
Yep.
ends,
Yeah.
and just
Description.
tragic,
the way they're
tragic
gonna
ends
execute his is
is
We'll get
crazy.
into that. It's pretty big. The tubular transport gets some big moments in this book.
It's kind of the climax.
It has its own arc.
Yeah.
I had a note.
Which
Not
is
on,
weird,
not
'cause
on the
it's just-
tubular transport, but
It's a
similar.
linear transport.
I highlighted at one point dome shaped and said, have you ever, they say like you don't know the last time you hold your child.
Right.
Wow.
You heard that? Because
Yeah.
one day they're grown up and you
That's
don't hold
not
them
true.
anymore.
I go home and I get
you
my
don't-
daddy's arms
Sure,
every time.
Sure. I made a note about that with dome shaped. It's like every time I read dome shaped, it could be my last.
Well, they
I
threw
have
it
no
cube
idea.
shaped.
There is
Just
a
to
cube
let you
shaped
know
in
that
there.
they've got more cooking.
And they
And,
retconned their total lack of knowledge about what a Y-wing is as well.
Yeah, they
They
brought in
didn't-
the Rendley Star Drive,
Which is a
Y-Wing.
real
Did
company.
someone tell
Yeah,
them?
it's in Star Wars.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, yeah.
Because
All
that's
right, all
crazy
right.
that they would not just let it go.
I did a
Because they didn't retcon shit. All they did was introduce a fact
Well,
without
listen,
changing
yeah.
anything that happened
They
the
did
game before.
change Kowakian lizard monkey to monkey lizard.
They did do that,
They
Yeah.
corrected.
which I actually think lizard monkey sounds better.
Yeah.
It does.
It's more pleasing to the ears.
Actually-
Yeah, it does. But
I actually like monkey lizard.
that's
Really?
that's the real one. That's what it actually
I
is.
guess I'm a purist.
Yeah.
Yeah, you respect the canon, but it's the whole adventure continues thing. And for most of this book, there seems to be some Drapak erasure.
Yeah, they
Like-
go back to Yavin 4 where there's still a large Alliance stronghold.
Yeah, and even
or
the book's
foothold.
like the
Senate is
the
there.
headquarters of the Alliance Senate is on the fourth moon of Yavin. And I was like, I thought they like
I think
left.
just
Yeah.
Spin is at Drapak then.
Yeah,
Oh, that might be what it is.
spins in both because it's the Senate Planetary Intelligence Network.
Well,
That's
also
true.
Drapak and Spin has like startling security.
CPAC.
CPAC, yeah, has some startling security like gaps, like that things
Oh,
can
yeah.
keep getting through the atmosphere.
They're
That
just,
thing
like-
that came in through the ceiling that was gonna
Yeah.
like kill Luke.
They're
Yeah.
beset by
Trioculus'
probe
countdown.
droids like at all times.
Constantly.
It's just, they're nonstop coming in. It's like we have to figure out how to stop this.
Well, in this
you have
book-
lasers,
They realize in this book that the Empire is stupid, and they can just like, oh, we can trick them easily.
but they're not. It doesn't.
Well,
But
depends who
yes,
you're
it does.
talking to.
Yeah, yeah.
But
It's basically only Hissa suffers for
He suffers
the Rebel Alliance
much.
Greatly.
Yes.
Yeah.
we also have another Paul and Hollis maneuver here, where they
Hollis
introduce
maneuver.
a pivotal plot device at the very beginning, which is in this case I'm getting a little bit ahead of the beginning, the the decoy tubular transport.
Oh my god.
Like
Yeah.
just in the last book, it's like Project Decoy.
Yeah.
It might be important later, or like I guess it was the opposite with the Mount Yoda. It's like here's the golden knife that isn't important.
Yes.
Yeah.
Basically, what they've done at the Jedi Lost City of the Jedi is they've got two elevators, and in one they've removed the elevator and also put lava at the
No,
bottom.
that was an accident.
No,
that
it
was
was a
because of an
cave. It was
earthquake.
supposed to be harmless.
Yeah.
We'll get into it because at first I want to have a 5-second moment of silence because this book starts with a tragedy.
Yeah.
Well, no, it picks up on the tragedy that ended the last book.
It begins with the end of the last
wait,
book.
wait, wait. I'm sorry. Before we do any of that,
Yeah.
there is one. I think there is one Hollis maneuver that is completely absent in
It's
this
gone.
book.
Yes.
Do you know what?
Is it the ecological?
There's no ecological
Yeah.
thing.
This
Maybe-
one's all Star Wars.
I know.
Yeah.
The only thing maybe is that Jawas might have a gambling problem.
Jawas might have
Yeah,
a gambling problem, and maybe the mushroom.
They
I
go
mean,
to
they
the mushroom
go to
planet,
a planet that has
mean-
plants.
and then I assumed it was going to be stupid, but then it was like, oh, they're here because there's a plot thing happening, and they
Well,
leave it immediately.
They did the other Hollis maneuver where everyone ends up in the same place
place,
by
yeah.
a
Yes,
total
yes.
coincidence. Yeah.
Well, I think the Jawa thing might fall into the same category as the Chadra fan ruining their own planet with the dairy farms.
Oh, could be, could be.
That's the
It's
funniest
their own fault.
one. Yeah,
The
it
Jawas
is
are
kind of the
addicted to
best.
porn.
like those North Koreans that went to
Yeah,
Ukraine.
yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's talk about. You want 5 seconds? I'll
Oh
give
yeah,
you,
5
I'll
seconds
give
for
you
a
two.
moment of silence. Yeah.
All right,
Good.
great. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Trioculus
He's
dies.
just
He's
been
dead.
woken
He's
up.
dead. Yep.
He's just been woken up. Decided to have a wedding. Then gets melted.
he gets shot in
and
the
they
heart.
They make sure to
Yep.
mention
His love.
Hissa.
He only
And,
has one heart to get shot in.
I know,
Yeah.
not like a Charger fan.
Yeah.
Hissa and Trioculus are just besieged lovers, honestly. Like clearly the
Yeah.
admiration and deep passion they hold
Yeah.
for one another just leads to like the phrase corroded hip bone.
Oh
Like
my
what
god, they
happened
get
to Hissa.
so graphic.
Which
with
also
it.
when it
It's
talks
a-
about it, he's like, yeah, he fell.
It's
and
like a
that's why it happened.
Smithers, Mr. Burns thing.
yeah,
Yes.
Right?
It's
Yeah.
very much like that.
They only
but they're-
realize at the end.
Yeah.
But they're both Smithers and they're both Mr. Burns.
Yeah.
It's pretty
I don't know.
fantastic.
Cold sweat dripped down Grand Moff Hissa's neck as he stared in shock at Trioculus's horrible wounds. This is a black day for the Empire, my dark lordship.
What empire?
Yeah,
It doesn't exist,
It's
I
the
don't
Imperial-
think.
it's like the Imperial
remnant?
remnants or whatever, but even worse.
Well, and then when we're introduced to Hissa right at the beginning, it says Hissa, who had accidentally lost his
That's right,
arms
yeah.
and legs in a pool of
Oops.
toxic waste.
Oops.
It wasn't an, I mean,
He was
I guess
left for dead.
a pitched battle.
Anyone who loses their arms and legs it's an accident.
Yeah.
Like, right? I mean,
guess except
but there are
Anakin.
those people who like
Anakin
saw
was an
their arm
accident.
off because
Yeah.
they get but
Yeah.
So yeah, they get into real detail about his missing limbs.
Yeah, there's the whole thing about how because his hip bone is corroded, they can't put robot legs
So
on.
he's strapped
because
to
his
a
waist,
chair.
his whole like waist is gone.
His dick is gone.
Yeah, his dick
That's
is
right.
gone.
Well, no, we talked about how that's been saved. It's
Yeah,
just,
yeah.
just a few arteries.
Yeah,
if you
his,
were-
go ahead.
Can we just do a moment of silence for Project Decoy?
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, all right, yeah. Not
like-
mentioned at all at the end of the last book what happens to her. And in this
No.
one, she is
No,
just
yeah.
smoldering
Shot to hell.
remains,
Yeah.
just fucking destroyed.
I did like this sentence, though. I'll give it to the Davids. The room was filled with the scent of burned synthetic flesh and smoking scorched hair, mixed with the foul odor of melted droid microcircuits.
Yeah, that's cool. Microcircuit's still a very Hollis move.
Yeah.
Oh, of course.
And Paul,
Of course.
what's the Davids?
David- the
Davids.
That's I forgot. I forget sometimes because I'm trying to.
Soon.
But anyway, yeah. So I'm thinking, well, surely Trioculus is going to get out of this one because nobody's actually died thus far.
And because
You
he's
know,
the
Hissa-
main villain.
Yeah,
we
he's the
thought
bad
Hissa was
guy.
killed. We thought Trioculus was destroyed in carbonite. We thought Zorba was eaten by the Sarlacc.
Yep.
None of that happened. So I'm reading this and I'm like, well, he's the main villain. Obviously, he's gonna. Nope.
He'll rally.
Oh.
He does not.
The light goes from his eyes.
Let me make a note here too, and this is maybe spoilers, so skip ahead 15 seconds if you're worried about spoilers.
Sure.
He's the only person that dies.
Yep.
No, Hissa dies.
Hissa does
Hissa
die.
definitely dies.
He dies more than.
Oh, you're right. You're
Yeah,
right. You're
yeah,
right.
so-
Again,
So-
just
Two lovers.
bury your gaze, right?
Yeah.
It is, yeah.
Wow,
It
Davids,
is.
Wow.
But
Oh,
there's
there
a-
was a.
Do not have gay love. You
That's the
will
lesson.
die.
That's the lesson from these books.
At least in fiction.
But Hissa tells Trioculus at the end, he's like, that black-bearded dwarf, he's worse than that scoundrel Zorba. And then Trioculus is like, yes, Zorba, we threw him into this pit
The
of
monologues
It's
when he's
so
dying.
funny.
I mean, it starts with Hissa. Those foul rebels have assassinated me.
They've
I'm dying.
Yeah, he recalls in a weakening voice, sent him plunging into the hungry mouth of Sarlacc. Fitting end for that slimy slug. Curse him.
He's bleeding out as he says this.
Yeah, well, he just really doesn't like the guy. I love
doesn't,
this
he
too because
doesn't.
it's like, Hiss is like, that black-bearded dwarf is even worse than Zorba. And then Atraca says, yes, and we killed Zorba. And then Hissa says, yeah, and I hate Kadan too. Okay.
He's like, you know who I hate the most, though? Luke Skywalker.
They're being kind of catty.
I
They
know.
are,
Well,
yeah.
It's kind of that's what I'm saying.
Trioculus'
You know?
last wishes. He's
Queens
like,
to
you
the
gotta
end.
kill.
Yeah.
You gotta kill Luke Skywalker.
we
They're,
should
they're spilling tea as he dies.
Yeah.
we should do a live reading of The Birdcage, but it's Hissa and Trioculus.
Just replace all the characters.
That's good. Do you think we can get Robin and Nathan?
Probably.
No?
Oh,
Oh.
not
We'll
even
talk.
Nathan.
Maybe Nathan.
We
yeah.
could get like an AI Robin, right?
if
There's
we
enough
get
out
Ryan
there.
Murphy to produce, certainly.
Oh, okay, cool.
We can make
cool.
that happen.
Anyway, they scatter his ashes to the main four directions in space: north, south, east, and west off the Moff ship.
Those are not directions in space. That doesn't mean anything in space. North? What is north in space?
You'd be a galactic.
We've
North.
got to move on
I-
because Trioculus was not the only three-eyed mutant who had a strong influence on the Empire.
That's right.
Oh my god.
And then we immediately—I don't think Trioculus is mentioned again. He's a complete and
No.
total failure.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, that's what they, even in the last book, they just called him failure over and over.
Right.
They
I
talked
mean,
about how shitty he was.
It's supposed to be. This is going to be a 4-hour podcast already, but he's supposed to be Darth Vader, and Kadan is supposed to be the Emperor, right? That's kind of
Yeah.
the like.
Sure.
Kadan's revealed later, and he's the big real power,
The
even though he
real
has
bad
no
guy.
power,
yeah.
and is not, and he's just as big of an oaf as Trioculus.
And at least Vader was in
Maybe
the
more.
movie the whole time.
yeah, and Vader's cool.
It's like if Vader died at the beginning of Return of the Jedi.
Vader
You're
is
like,
cool
What the fuck?
and
No, if-
consistent in
Yeah.
his like.
If Vader was
You know.
shot at the end of A New Hope and then died at the beginning
Yeah.
of Empire.
Yeah,
I hate to put a damper on all this sadness, all this tragedy, because there's a wedding to plan, baby.
Oh, yeah.
Ding dong, ding dong, ding.
That happens a couple times where it's like, forget that important stuff. We've got a big day for our friends.
I'm so
Yes.
sorry again though. I got to go back real quick
Yeah.
to when they describe Trioculus's cremation.
Yeah, go back. Come on.
The
Take us
fires of the chamber raged. When all that was left was a small pile of ashes, the Moffs put equal amounts of his remains into 4 small canisters. That's where they shoot him into the 4 cardinal directions of
Yeah.
space.
Space.
Which, how many Moffs are there? Like, wouldn't they be hemorrhaging talent?
There's like our 4 main ones.
Muzzer,
there's a bunch of other
Dunhausen,
ones.
and Gunship.
They're so
Gorsh-
concerned with who
Gorsh,
has
yeah.
they're so concerned with who has a legal right to the imperial throne.
That's because they are such boring writers.
What? Yeah, yes.
That's the
Yeah,
only way
yeah.
they can imagine something working is
no.
the slow wheels of bureaucracy.
You just say no, he doesn't, and then move on.
Well, these Moffs, they can't do anything without like respecting the
office.
the office,
Yeah.
the procedure. It's like, oh, well, shoot, there's a wedding. We got to stop everything and have a wedding.
Right.
Oh, shoot, Trioculus died at the
Yeah.
wedding. We got to have a funeral now.
They can't help but Abbott and Costello it up.
And the rebels are like, well, shit, let's just take advantage of these Moffs, just like, I don't know, just dicking around.
stupid.
Yeah.
This goes out, I guess, to any of our slave lord listeners.
Yeah.
Just keep at it. You know, you don't know what you've got till it's gone, right?
Yeah.
And if
Yeah.
somebody comes saying like, "Oh, you're gonna wear the indestructible glove of Darth Vader, and you're gonna command powder," it's like, no, you're gonna get blinded. You're gonna have your face melted off, and you're gonna get entombed and then shot and killed.
Yeah.
Yep.
Be careful.
Just realize what you got. You know,
don't ask for
keep
more.
whipping people and telling them your plans.
When they go, when we do see Triclops for the first time, I think before they're planning the wedding, it's revealed has a tooth implant,
Yes, it sends
That goes
electrical
into
signals.
his brain.
and it controls him. The Empire controls him. They can't, so they can get
Doesn't it just broadcast?
they can get stuff in that controls him, but we
Right.
learn later nothing is being broadcast out because the probe droids, when they come in, have to pick it up.
Yeah.
So maybe I guess the probe droids come in and they can send a signal further than they can receive one.
I guess so, but then the rebels are like, oh, let's just let this one out.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
eventually
Well,
it's a strategy, but
yeah.
how is he getting the orders
So,
if they can't?
I don't know if he's getting orders or if he's just picking up brainwaves from Drapak. Like, it's never
They don't really get into it.
explained. But when we see him, we find out he's sleeping much of the time as if he were the victim of some unexplained sleeping sickness.
Yep.
Paul, say he sleeps a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, he'd been like allowed to just study the files, even though they still question his loyalty.
What's fake files?
Yeah, they plant fake files for him to go through.
No, not yet.
Well,
right?
I think
Or they know that they're
for
not
the past
important.
few days.
Yeah, they
Oh
leave
no,
on it-
Leia. Sorry, it's one of those things where it switches who it's talking about.
Yeah, without
within a
clarifying,
sentence. Yeah. Okay. She's looking at the files that Luke had brought back from the lost city of the Jedi,
Mm-hmm.
and then she turns to her brother, Luke Skywalker.
Which he was able to bring files back, no problem.
Yeah.
But later on, Kadana's going to have a serious issue with any kind of file transfer.
Yeah.
data
Oh,
backup,
it's
mean,
a
so.
big problem.
The way it describes too the files Luke brought back from his last trip
Which
to
we
the lost
only
city, which I was
trip.
like,
There's this
I
other
wrote
trip.
down. I was like, is he going back? Like,
Did he ever
there's
actually?
there's another trip. There's
He-
there's a trip that we read about. There's another trip that we didn't read about. Where him and Han and Ken go to the
So
lost
he's
city
just
and come
been
back.
going
We're just
everywhere.
making trips.
They did?
I think I
Well, no,
highlighted
but
that
Ken
here
doesn't
somewhere.
go because it says later that Ken had only
never
left.
been back.
Okay,
right?
maybe it's just Luke
It
and
makes
Han and Chewie
yeah.
or
He comes
something.
back when he takes the tubes transport. The second
Uh-huh.
time when he comes to get his computer notebook, and then the third time when he leaves home forever to join Spin
Okay.
Yeah.
and go to Dagobah.
Dagobah Tech.
That's right. But this Triclops part, we talk about his tooth and how he's sleepwalking. We
Yeah.
will not see Triclops until the end of the book.
Which is like fucking nuts what happens with that character.
I mean, I know.
we'll get to it, but
You
it's
think-
awesome.
We're gonna get to that. You think
Yeah.
it's gonna go somewhere, and then
It doesn't.
It opens up for a sequel.
I think sure there were for sure plans to keep this series going. And
Yeah.
like seemingly right away.
Yes,
And I tried to find out what happened. I looked it up. I could not find
They're
anything.
just so bad.
Yeah.
I mean, it just makes it all feel like an incredible waste of time. Like, why have I
of
invested
course.
so much in Ken's story?
right.
I will listen. This is the most exciting line I read in this entire book on
Okay.
like the 5th page or whatever. They're talking about probe droids. Then suddenly an Alliance X-Wing flew to counterattack.
It's an X-Wing.
I can hear the sound of the engines
Yes.
that flew in.
They, for the first time, after hundreds of pages and
X-Wing,
dozens of
well-
Y-Wings,
Like 100 pages.
after 100 of pages,
An Incom T-65 X-Wing
That's right.
flies into view. And I was like,
man.
oh!
Yeah,
Yeah.
I had to read it twice. I was like, was that?
I couldn't believe
an
it.
X-Wing?
I wrote X-Wing.
Yes.
There's an actual X-Wing.
That joy was short-lived, however, because then they start talking about omni probes.
You mean something like an omniprobe?
says Leia.
yeah, let's see that out. What we need is something that can locate Imperial probe droids long before they penetrate the atmosphere. You mean
So-
like an omni probe? And he says, yeah. He
then
says exactly.
Ken, as he like I said, the probe droids are just flying into the Yavin 4 left and right
Yeah.
to try and get info.
And are they deploying X-Wings to shoot them down?
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
they,
seems like it.
they're
Seems
able
like
to shoot
a-
them all down, but like they're worried that they want to shoot them down sooner, even though it's made clear that they're not getting any information out.
No, it's fine.
But they want to shoot them down sooner.
Well, maybe it's because X-Wings are so. Maybe it's like overkill. It's like with the Houthis that were shooting $2 million missiles at
Right.
$2,000 drones.
yes,
It's all
yeah.
a show of
It's probably
force.
like that. Yeah.
But the omniprobe, sure,
Worth it, though.
It sure sounds like it's going to be
For
important.
sure.
But
yeah,
Sounds like it.
It does sound like that.
but
and,
this is the only time we hear about them.
Well, I looked
Ever.
it up. They do come up in a previous book of this series. In
Mm-hmm.
Wikipedia, it's mentioned in another one of these Jedi Prince novels.
Oh,
But
shit.
they're also referenced in like the Rebel Handbook. There's something else that
all
they're
this stuff.
referenced
All
to.
this stuff is referenced
Yeah.
in like certain like of those like encyclopedias. and
Rendely,
Are they-
Star Drive, and
But
stuff.
are there things from those encyclopedias referencing these terrible books?
Never.
stuff. Well, no, yeah.
Because where else would it have come from?
Ken has like a.
He gets his own thing.
Ken the Jedi Prince with the dome.
if you go to the Wikipedias for like almost every character in this book that doesn't appear in like the movies, the only thing they've appeared in are these books, and then like the essential guide to something or other will have like a mention of them. But
I mean,
that's
if
like
it's
it.
essential.
It's always wild. I think I was reading like one of the new Jedi Order books ages ago,
Mhm.
and they're talking about all these characters showing up, and like Kyle Katarn will be there, stuff
Yeah.
like that. Then like
Yep.
Jaden Core, the main character of Jedi Academy,
Oh,
who
yeah.
you make, and he's just
Yeah.
like whatever alien. It's like Jaden Core was there. I was like, what the fuck? Why?
Yeah.
So I figured maybe Ken
Ken-
would pop up, but I guess not.
Ken is listening around the corner and
As always.
overhears them talking about this and comes in and says, "I heard you talking about my old school project."
Yeah, so
It
that's
looks
because
like what project?
Leia's like, hey, there's a file that I can see. I discovered it. You didn't bring it back for a new type of
So I guess
omniprobe.
he downloaded like an index. But
I guess he
not
got
the files.
he got the table of contents.
Yeah.
And then it says Ken, who was on vacation from school at Dagobah Tech.
Right.
You are the writers. You're the authors. You
Yeah.
create what happens.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter to me. You're the ones that made him go to Dagobah Tech.
Yeah.
You don't have to tell me he's on vacation. If you say that Ken is there,
He's there.
then
Yeah.
sure, he's there.
He's there.
He doesn't have to be there despite being a schoolboy.
That's
Right.
that's like going into a lot of detail about Harry Potter failing quizzes.
Yeah.
It's like it's fine. It's fine.
He's at magic
you know,
school. Who
it doesn't
cares?
it doesn't matter. You made up Hogwarts, okay?
Uh-huh.
I guess the entire point of this fucking omniprobe is they need to make a journey to the lost city of
Yeah.
the Jedi
Yeah.
Which
to get his drawings, his school
yeah.
project.
and then they
Which we
don't.
find out DJ did anyway.
Yeah.
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 Oh wait,
DJ
they do
weird.
go. They do go.
Yeah. They
But
go.
When do they go to Mushroom Land?
They go Mushroom Land
After,
later.
yeah.
I think from there.
So this
Yeah,
is
they
and then they
yes,
go
yeah.
back.
There's a lot of like weird diversions in this book to just
To nothing.
to accomplish absolutely nothing.
This chapter
I don't
did
even
end
remember
with
what
a-
the mushrooms do. Something about the tooth.
it's
Oh.
still-
His
molar.
okay. So
Because
We're getting ahead of
just
ourselves,
sitting,
but
sticking his fingers into
they,
his mouth.
there's a nerve that goes from that tooth
his
straight to
brain.
his brain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not an implant or anything. Just that happened to be there.
He's got a crazy
Already.
tooth.
Oh no, it was an implant, wasn't it?
And the tooth is an implant. The nerve is not. I don't think
that doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't.
it's a Paul and Hollis Davids novel.
Okay.
He's a mutant.
The mushroom they figure out they can make something which they mention like a healer.
And I know.
They do.
And I was
They
like,
don't
I
say.
was like, Baji!
Also, I think Baji is. It sounds like Baji's the guy who falls into the wrong tunnel.
It's like a botanist looking for plants.
Yes, but
Never
Baji
mentioned by
is
name.
Never mentioned.
And I guess that's it
The
for
Hodin
Baji.
healer. The Hodin healer.
oh, okay.
The chapter did end with a great
but
sentence,
the mushrooms, like they can get the tooth out if they inject
Right.
it with mushrooms.
That's why they need
Which, okay.
But this
Right.
this chapter
Yeah,
ends
yeah,
with
yeah.
a great sentence. For a moment, they wondered whether Triclops was dead or if he was just unconscious.
Yeah.
For a second, they're like, I wonder if he's dead or unconscious. Anyways, let's
check.
go to the lost city of the Jedi.
He's sticking his fingers in his mouth, touching an Imperial implant. Then he drops to the floor still. and then instead of like rushing in, Luke and Leia exchanged a concerned glance. And then for a moment, they wondered, like, is he dead?
Maybe he's dead. Let's go.
I do like the idea that those two are just completely unfeeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
They're just watching him like he's a zoo animal.
I mean,
Yeah.
Luke is a fucking prick in this one again,
He's so mean.
which is cool.
He
Yeah.
comes down so
Yeah.
he comes down
And
so hard
Han
on
is in
Ken.
top form in this
Yeah,
one.
luckily
is
he's mean to
perfect.
Ken most of the time.
Yeah.
I wish there was more Han. He's barely in this book.
Lando's gone.
Yep.
But
Well-
Han has pretty good moments.
Lando's trying to ruin or insert himself into other marriages.
That's true.
Chapter 2 opens with maybe my favorite Paul and Hollis trope, which is the chapter is called Return to the Lost City, and the first sentence is far away on the planet Tatooine.
Tatooine. They do this
Yes!
every book.
Every book.
It's so
Yeah.
But
funny.
it's also describes because Zorba's alive. Turns out
We
knew
saw
that.
Yeah,
that.
we
Yeah,
at the
yeah.
end,
We
we
saw
knew
him
that. Yeah.
crawl out.
he just got out, and then
Yeah.
huge slug-like old Hutt crawled slowly like a giant.
keep talking
worm.
about how he sucks.
He's
Yeah.
a slug. That's the slug crawled like a worm. Okay,
Or a slug?
yeah, whatever. He's slug-like. We know how he's
Yeah.
crawling.
Yeah.
Big yellow reptilian eyes. That's another thing. That we
Oh,
hear.
we did
Those keep
mention
coming out.
earlier that when Trackus died, it said all three of his eyes closed halfway.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
To the
that's
end.
right.
To the end.
Do you
of the
think
end.
Hissa did like a 3-finger eye close?
Or he did it with two and then
Sleep,
put
old
the
friend.
other hand
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
Those mechanical hands.
He just gouges out all three
Oops.
of the eyes.
Yeah, and Zorba's alive. He's just like, nobody eats a Hutt. And
Yeah.
then just
There's a lot of things about Hutts, like how they can survive without food or water, as Hutts have been known to do.
sure.
But then later we see him eat so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he's like been wandering through the desert, Book of Boba Fett style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he says, "Surely my friends the Jawas will give me a ride to the Mos Eisley spaceport." And then, though Zorba called the Jawas his friends, the fast-talking desert traders known as the Jawas despised all Hutts, especially Zorba.
Why especially Zorba?
I don't know. He just seems especially unlikable.
Yeah,
Do they
guess-
all know him also?
Maybe,
But
and then it
luckily, he knows
says-
their weakness.
Well, he says he's going to
Yes.
offer them a deal, and I'm like, all right,
Out of
gemstones,
the deal.
baby.
Nope. It's slot
Slots.
machines.
He has slot
100
machines for them.
used
Spin and
slot
win
machines.
machines from the
Yep.
Holiday Towers Hotel and Casino.
That's right.
That he owns on Best
Which,
Spin.
like, what
Yeah.
are they gonna do with it?
Well,
Is
they
there a
can either
casino on
can either
Tatooine?
sell them or
To who?
install them in their sand
Yes, they can
crawlers.
gamble all the time.
Just gambling for themselves, I guess.
Can you imagine, like in a New Hope, when you see 3PO and R2 on the Sandcrawler for the first time, and there's just a bunch of Jawas.
There's a bunch of people
at the
smoking
slot.
cigarettes.
They've all
the
got
ins-
shirts like Jacobs and
Yeah,
all the
yeah,
Hawaiian
yeah.
It's
shirts.
like the inside of Circus Circus
Yeah.
with a gonk droid.
Horrible.
It's not a pleasant inside the Sandcrawler. Like it's really grim.
Yeah, it's just a junk pile, but
And
there's
then
slots now.
He just says what he's gonna do. He's like, and then I'll go to Space Station Scardia. And I think the next time we see him, he's on Space Station Scardia.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for a meal that the prophets have prepared for him.
Zorba's doing
Yeah, they welcome him like
the exact same
yeah.
things he's always done.
Yep.
He's talking about how nobody likes Hutts. He's a ha ha ha.
Oh, he's hot. There's one
Which
where it
is
goes,
cool.
Ha,
I
ha,
like-
ha, 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 ha.
Not that anyone has any character development in any of these books, but I do like in a series or anything when there is a character that kind of goes through the whole series and never changes
Doesn't
at all.
learn
Yeah.
anything.
I
yeah.
honestly like kind of cool.
You think Zorba's that
I don't
guy?
think,
It's a
I don't
good
think
trope.
everyone should do.
Yeah.
You got to choose one guy,
Yeah.
but
What if it's every character though? Like
that's the problem.
But even when I try to think of an example, I can't come up with one as pure as Zorba.
oh yeah.
no, yeah.
He's the
'cause he's
same
older.
character
He's a
as when he said,
singularly
"It's your
motivated-
papa."
Yep.
It's
Oh,
your
Jabba.
papa.
I was thinking this morning again about Bulgogi the Hutt.
His arc also just it ends with
Zorba?
Yeah, it just ends, right?
I can't really remember
Yeah,
what happens.
I don't
with
know.
him
I
in
guess we'll
this one.
find out together. Anyway, we're back with Ken.
Yeah, back to the Lost City. They hop in that tubular transport.
Tubular transport.
It's
yes,
back. They
is
say it over and
so-
It's all
over and
tubes.
over.
Ken's pulse quickened as he thought about riding in the tubular transport. What are you talking
It's an elevator.
about? He's so weird.
It's just
Oh,
an elevator.
It's so weird.
So you're right. It is. So for he'd only left 3 times. First when he tried to run away from home, then when he left in search of his lost computer notebook. Thanks. And a 3rd time after he had taken Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, and Chewbacca to the Lost City.
That might have been in the second book, actually. They might have all gone down together.
Did they?
I don't know if they've ever been down there though.
I don't remember Luke ever going.
DJ comes up.
Doesn't fucking
Yeah.
matter.
DJ comes up to the surface.
It doesn't matter.
And Luke, like, he gets like trapped in a vine, or no,
Hoden-
Baji gets stuck in a vine,
Yeah.
and DJ shows up and shoots smoke out of his fingers.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess there's just an off-screen trip to the
Unless we just wiped it.
I think
which
we
is
wiped
possible.
it. I think it happens.
folks. Go back, listen to all of them again.
Yes.
See if we ever talk about their
if
trip.
you've been listening to the audio, go back and enjoy the video versions on our Patreon.
Yeah.
Yes,
okay?
yes. Let's see. They talk about the tubular transport a lot for a while.
Yeah,
Luke shits
and
on
then-
Ken, telling him he's not wise. Ken
Yes.
talks about he's gained a lot of wisdom.
He's like, Ken's like, I feel a lot smarter. I feel wiser. I've been to so many planets. I've met people, not just droids. And Luke says, shut the fuck up.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're stupid.
Okay,
You're a
you're-
stupid
Since when
boy.
does a kid who's 12 going on 13 have true wisdom? Fuck off, Luke. Jesus.
I know.
Ken says, how many kids my age do you know who have seen Banthas, Jawas, Tusken Raiders, and bounty hunters? And Luke's like, unfortunately, Ken, attaining true wisdom has little to do with any of that.
Yeah. He
Not
says,
really.
It
I
seems
mean,
you could
it
do
kind
with,
of actually
experience.
is. Seeing
you could
stuff,
do with a
experience,
little
yeah.
advancement on that score. Luke, you are a janitor.
Well,
Yeah.
then immediately after that, Ken
Which-
thinks about the tubular transport
should
being
have-
more fun than hologram fun world.
Yes.
Which is crazy because
Luke
it's a straight
says-
line that goes down. It's the
Luke
Tower
says
of
that
Paradise.
wisdom has to do with how much insight you have about life and your level of maturity.
Okay,
Which-
moving the goalposts.
He said
Luke.
He said
What?
insulting
How are
a
you gonna-
12-year-old.
How are you going to get that if you don't meet a bunch of strange people and go to weird places?
Yeah, and go to specifically Tatooine. Describe
I
the
don't
things
know.
you saw in Tatooine.
Hey,
Doesn't Luke mention at some point that there was a ride at Hologram Fun World that was really scary?
I don't remember.
maybe
I
like
know
skiing
I
down the side of a
know I
volcano.
highlighted
I know that's his dream. To
I know
ski
I
down the side
highlighted
of a
it,
volcano.
so, yeah.
But they end up on who you guessed it, Jedi Lane.
Guess who's back?
Yep.
Zeba.
Zubo. What's his name? Zebo.
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 Zebo the Mooka.
You hear a ksh of a mooka.
Ksh, the ksh. Just once I'd like to wake up to the
Yep.
bark of a dog, whatever that is.
Yes. Oh, real quick. Very pivotal. They
Yeah.
talk about Ken's parents and how they're dead.
Yep.
And Luke's like, you don't remember anything about your parents? And he's like, yeah, there's a guy with a brown robe. And he's like,
Obi-Wan
like Obi-Wan.
For-
Luke's like,
So
lots
did
of guys
Luke.
wore brown
Or
robes.
not Luke. So did fucking
Kiari Mundi.
Owen.
Well, yeah, Owen. Yoda has a brown robe.
It seems like most people, Jawas.
Yeah.
Jawas have brown
Jawas all
robes.
have brown
It could have been a Jawa.
For books where they feel the need to tell us everything, like leave nothing to
Yeah.
the imagination.
Right.
They've been pretty coy about the Kenobi of it all the whole time. I
Mm-hmm.
think spoilers for this book. I think because they knew the twist that
Yeah.
that Kenobi was not the father. So every time it would make sense to like have Ken just say it. They'd be like,
Mm-hmm.
but that's not true. So we can't say it. I don't know, but like this is like the first time that he actually says like, I think he might be my dad.
And
Yeah.
Luke sure shoots him down.
Right away.
Yes.
It's like, no, it couldn't have been. No, Obi-Wan never mentioned it.
He would have told
Lots
me,
of people wear
yeah.
brown robes.
He would have told me.
Shut up, Ken.
He would have come to me in a dream.
Yep.
He starts showing his half crystal necklace birthstone thing. He's touching that.
Mm-hmm.
And then HC 100 comes barging
homework-
back
the homework droid
into
is
the
back.
game.
The
I'm so
fucking
excited.
and he's like, great, you're back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
get to work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
your assignments are late, Ken.
I forgot how it
Ken.
sounded. Yeah, he says, thanks for bringing him back. And then Luke
He has
says,
a gut.
He does
He's
have
got a
gut.
round
He's got a
belly,
circular
yeah.
belly.
And it can like rotate.
and a round whole mouth.
reminds me
Yes.
of Sir Gideon Ofnir with that like kind of like
He's got like the belly built
belly
into the armor.
built into
yeah.
the armor. Yeah, he's got a whole mouth and a gut.
HC-100, the all-knowing.
And then,
homework correction droid.
what does Luke say about Ken to HC-100?
He says that he's not here for that. He's one of the brightest students at a very special school,
very
Dagobah
special
Tech.
school.
And then it says,
Yeah.
at the moment, he's on vacation. Oh my God! Who cares?
He's on vacation.
Who cares?
Also, his
Why
classmates.
does HC care?
His classmates
most
are the
of
sons
all?
and daughters of the scientists who work at Drapak, our fortress on Mount Yoda, on the planet Dagobah.
It's like you need some wisdom. You need a little improvement on that score.
But luckily, HC-100 delivers one of our most important plot points. He mentions the decoy tubular transport.
Yeah, perhaps you
wants
can
to
think of a
plug the
way to
hole.
plug the hole. Yeah.
Yep. Because they got a fake tubular transport
And
that
like,
they
what
installed
decoy? What hole?
to deter randos.
Yeah, but this is the first time Ken hasn't known a thing.
Well,
seems
this
like
happens
it's-
again later.
Yeah.
But this is the
But
I
that's,
think it's
like,
the first
big,
time
though.
Ken's
This
like,
Book
I don't
goes
know this
rife with things
thing.
that he doesn't know.
It's
Yeah.
weird because he knows everything.
I
It's
know.
all in the Jedi library.
And he's also obsessed with the tubular transport.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think he wouldn't know that there's a second
one?
one? Just imagine for a second that Ken is a boy on our Earth.
A boy-shaped
And tubular
boy.
transports are trains.
Mm-hmm.
And this kid loves
it.
a train.
Got
And then he finds out that there's a second death train.
It's not a death train yet.
Okay. Well,
it's
it
a
is
train
now,
that goes
yeah.
to a
It is now,
station
yeah.
that you can't leave.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, how
Except
do you
the
get out?
station's on fire
think you
It
now.
go
goes
back
back
up.
up. Yeah. It's like, oh, shoot.
Then
it's
what
just
is
a cave.
the point? How is it it's not a decoy unless someone is looking for it. And they're like, oh, this is just in case someone stumbles upon it. If they stumble on that one,
They could stumble on the other
they
one.
can someone also just lock it.
Maybe this
I don't
one's
know.
less hidden so people can find it easier.
But then what?
Then they just end up in a dank cave and have to come
There's
back.
not a decoy unless someone's looking for it. It doesn't make any fucking sense.
Which also, like,
Like, I'm going to
in-
put a fake door on my house?
They introduced
guess.
decoys in the last books, and now decoys are the thing.
yeah. And again, the fake door would lead into a room that has no doors and windows.
Yeah.
Then you're
But
like,
now
why
it
is
leads
this
into
here?
a
Why
room
is there
filled
an
with
elevator
wasps and
that
hornets.
goes into
Then
a
I'm gonna
cave?
then I'm gonna be like, now I want to look
Now I
around
find
and
the other
figure out
one,
what.
yeah.
They should have just hidden the first one better. But yeah, there's
Yeah.
it turns out a big crack opened up underneath the decoy tubular transport that opens into lava
Yep.
or
Hey,
magma.
listen,
I
sometimes
guess.
you just gotta say,
You gotta like a
sometimes you gotta
buka.
like a muka.
Oh, my
But,
favorite thing. So they say a botanist almost died because he found it and just like went down the strange elevator. But then it's not Baji.
No.
But
Yeah.
it sounds a lot
I mean,
like
it's a
Baji.
rainforest. It's gonna be a crowded field.
Yeah,
That's
it's-
probably why
it's
Baji
the
was so
M4.
willing to move to a bog.
They just say
I
he
guess.
he almost died. He almost plunged to a fiery death.
Then DJ shows up to explain more about the decoy tubular transport.
Yeah.
He shows up with Zebo, who gives a nice of
Oh.
contentment.
I also like that we get kind of a good, we get a better idea of the scale and scope of the Jedi city, the lost city of the Jedi.
yeah.
And then he gazes out and sees dozens of droids.
Yeah, it's like a
There's
small
36
town.
droids.
24 or 36 droids walking around.
I know.
Doing
And
something.
It's so cavernous.
It
and
really
it's
is just like a town, like a housing development.
Yeah.
Yeah.
is all it is.
It's like a Skyrim town.
yeah,
Yes, it kind of has the same place in my brain as the like ape caves from Godzilla X Kong,
Uh-huh.
There's just
Yeah.
a cave
where the
with a bunch of
Scar
guys
ape
in it.
is down there.
He's got
yeah.
a chair. There's a
38.
one
And they're
chair.
yeah, he's
Yeah.
got a chair, and like they're all mining, but it's like, do they have houses? Do they have families? Do they eat?
No, they go. "Brr."
Yeah, they go brr, and they're just kind of there for ice dinosaur.
Yeah,
Yeah, to keep
doesn't
that
seem
ice
to be anything to
dinosaur in
do.
I don't know.
But
Anyway,
it seems like that's where the tubular transport
got a
opens up, is into this
fiery death hole.
death hole.
Which I don't
Um,
understand because, like, okay, it opens up. There's lava. It doesn't open.
So there was
from,
there was a tremor.
It
Yeah,
doesn't
there's a
open
tremor.
from the bottom though. Just don't step out.
Well, it's
Well, I
somehow
think-
now it opens from the bottom.
No, it doesn't because they clarify later when someone else goes down there that he specifically has to leave the transport to fall into the hole.
Well, wait till I show you
Well-
the picture.
Okay, maybe it does. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong.
The way I envisioned it
get the
is there was no more elevator car. That it's just a shaft. That
no, there is an elevator.
so later Hissa so later Hissa
Don't
really
sp-
does just like get in
It
an
says that
elevator,
he like rolls out on his like wheelchair thing,
which he's chained to.
which makes
I wanna
no
talk
fucking
about-
sense.
talk about later,
it's
yeah.
fused to
Well,
it.
let's wait.
Oh, I'm seeing some of the images from the book that I hadn't before.
There's a lot of good stuff. I'm just getting to where we
They
were.
have no idea what to do with Chewbacca.
Poor guy.
Yeah.
He's
not
such
a
good
clue.
character.
They keep pairing him off with Luke.
Yeah, and they describe him as like just a dog-like ape.
He just barks.
that moans and barks.
I know, yeah.
He's an ape, and the droids are all like shitty computers.
Yeah,
Yes.
but at least the droids
don't feel
You know,
pride.
the droids have like, I don't know. Paul and Hollis probably know about Clippy. Clippy probably wrote
of
these
course.
books.
Yeah. Yeah.
But a dog, they're like, what's he do?
Yeah.
He's a dog?
Can you imagine if these were written in like the AI era?
I mean, it
They
would
would have
been
been
better.
completely AI, right?
200 pages longer, probably. It would be even more. I fell asleep repeatedly while trying to read the like third quarter of this
Same.
book.
It was
and
gnarly.
I picked it up this morning and I was like, what? Wait, I had to go back a little bit, and I still don't know what I know that there was like Rebels got on. We'll get to it.
There were no gaps, it turns out. You read the whole thing. Okay, so DJ's here. He's talking about the decoy tubular transport, but he also brings up another major plot point, the Jedi Master Computer.
Which has come up a lot. It's the computer that contains information about everything that's ever happening.
And is
ever.
happening.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About
It's
the
regularly
movies.
updated.
Yep.
Every character,
It
everything
has
they've done.
It has the movies on it.
Yes.
Yeah,
so Ken
yeah,
can
yeah.
watch them. So yeah, they get told about the master computer and how important it is. Now it's got all sorts of Jedi secrets
Yep.
on it. And then they want the Omniprobe.
Yeah, and DJ says, "Oh, yeah, the one that I did almost all of the techno."
I didn't
work
highlight
on."
anything for like 3 pages because I was just like, come on,
The
let's
way-
go.
The way Ken describes, he says, noticing the computer's main menu of files and operations that filled its screen. They love boredom. They love tedium so much.
Well,
Well, they
computer
probably-
screens, birth certificates.
Yeah.
Yeah, they probably leases on
leases.
Rendili cargo transports.
Let's see if I can
Good
still.
thing they put this brown knob in here. That's when I knew
big
I wanted to
brown
lease
knob.
it.
Let's see if I can still locate the master file. I don't know. Just search it. It seems to have everything you could ever
Also,
want.
Ken, who knows everything and has lived his entire life on this computer, punches in the wrong code by mistake and
Yep.
brings up a file called Imperial
Oh.
Space Station.
What a coincidence!
Luckily, we knew that.
It's
Hey,
so amazing. that
DJ's
that
like, what are
happened.
you doing? Oh, wait a minute. You need to know about Space Station Scardia.
Hang on, you just looked up the perfect thing.
Scardia, says
Which-
Ken.
I guess they don't actually.
Maybe the interface is like the barnyard toy that's like, the cow says moo.
Yeah.
It's just a big button.
But it's actually like kind of. They don't get any real information out of it, right?
They get a cool prophecy.
That's it, yeah.
It basically goes in, they're like, oh no, Kadan's got a new prophecy,
This
and
book-
luckily
yeah.
we added it to the master computer
Yeah, just
immediately.
now. somehow.
we just got it in the mail.
Yeah, so I wonder what this means. When the Jedi Knight becomes a captive of Scardia, then shall the Jedi Prince betray the lost city.
Oh,
Which-
wow.
It's a little convenient, right? The whole like, well, Kadan's prophecies aren't actually prophecies. They don't have to come true. And it's
Uh-huh.
like, okay, well, it seems like almost all of them do.
They have,
So it's
yeah.
weird when the one about when Destini's head is pierced and they say these will begin the final days of the Rebel Alliance. That doesn't
didn't-
happen.
no,
and then
no.
and when they say like, well, that shouldn't happen, they're like, well, it's okay because Kadan actually lies a lot. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
But-
okay, but only about that one.
And then this is all great stuff about they're like, oh, he'll betray the lost city, and then Ken's like, I could never betray the lost city. He's like, that'd be crazy.
I
Like
wouldn't do
Imperials
that,
could never
yeah.
set foot here. And
They'll
Ken
have
says they never will. I'll never betray the
Yep.
lost city.
They all have a good laugh about it.
Yep.
But he didn't count on Arachnors.
Nope.
Oh,
Even
yeah,
the last
that's the
sentence of the chapter is Ken would never betray the lost city, no matter what Kadan predicted.
Spoiler alert. He
Well, This
does
is called dramatic irony.
soon.
Also, there's another great re-examination of the Yoda line.
Yep.
Oh my
yeah,
God.
they go back
Yeah.
over that.
Remember what Yoda told me. Always in motion is the future. That means the future isn't something that's fixed ahead of time waiting to happen. To which Ken asks, so the future is always changing? Always evolving up until the moment it actually arrives? And then Luke says, exactly. And that's why we all decide our own destinies by the choices we make.
I like that part in
They say
Empire
the same
where-
thing 10
where
times.
Yoda says it, and then Luke's like, so like the
So what you're
future isn't set? And Yoda's like, yeah. So that means that like I can do whatever, like my destiny isn't established concrete. And Yoda's like, yeah.
Really? Yeah.
So annoying. Luckily, chapter 3 is incredible,
Yeah.
which is called A Time for Feasting.
This is maybe the best chapter.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it is. So
In
Zorba
the
the Hutt
series.
ends up on in the null zone on
Yeah,
Space Station.
the deal
Scardia.
works. For 1,000,000 slot machines.
Yeah. Yay! Da, 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 da. So like they're having a feast for Zorba the Hutt, who's
Yeah.
just going to town.
Yep.
He's having the time of his life.
Yeah, he is.
Eating zoochberry dumplings.
And also
Black linen and spotless black plates.
that's right. Yes, the finest black linen and spotless
Yep.
black.
The Zeusberry dumplings.
They have
and,
4 foods. They have 4 different foods in this universe, and yet still they'll reference molasses when talking about arachnor
Yeah.
Not as sticky as like zoochberry jam.
Yep.
It's as sticky as molasses.
Earth molasses.
That doesn't exist here in Arzid.
He eats rancor liver, fried bantha steaks, Minok bats,
stewed Minok bats.
Yep, zoochberry dumplings.
He's also rapidly switching between them,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
feels so real.
Yeah,
They
nice,
have that down.
I have a nice
Yep.
picture.
The only characters they understand are Zorba and C-3PO.
Oh, cool.
There's Jedgar getting spilled on.
Yeah.
Getting shit all over his nice
Yeah.
sparkling robe.
Upon the dusty prophet.
Just splashing everywhere.
So,
So he's telling him, he's like, huts are not digestible.
Yeah. And he's just being disgusting, talking about slovenly, and they constantly mention how rude he is. He's rudely doing everything.
He
Dripping-
mentions that the Jawas got 100 barely used, practically new spin and win machines.
So that happened.
Yeah.
Already.
No, it works.
But like,
From Bespin.
why do we need to know that they're practically new, never or like lightly...
because he's Donald Trump.
Art of the deal.
Yeah.
That
art
I
of
could
the
only
deal.
start. I was only able to read these as Trump at a certain point. He's like,
I have to
"You
change
have
the voice.
enchanting relics, Kadan.
Enchanting
Might have to change the voice of the dramatic readings.
Bailey's practically new spin and win machines from the Holiday Towers
Paid
Hotel and
50
Casino."
gemstones to get a cargo pilot.
Yeah,
So
and then he made a sacrifice because of his patriotic
Patriotic
duty to the empire.
I think that he's buttering them up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of butter.
But then he tells them, oh, so I came here to tell you that the Moffs are traitors and they're going to rebel you. And Kadan's like, yeah, I already know that.
He's
and
like-
I've sent, and it's like, well, then why is Zorba here?
Well, he kind of just reminds Kadan of the lost city of the Jedi.
Yeah.
He's like, it's you got a lot of nice stuff here. It makes me wonder why you've not gone to the lost city. And then Kadan says, "What do you know?"
He asks to the
And then-
blubbery hut.
And then right, and then Zorba says,
Well,
know,
he
it's-
says that leads me to add, because he's looking around. Well, it says his wandering eye, which is really funny. And he's looking around at all the relics that Kadan has. And he's
Yeah.
like, hey, wait a minute. I wonder, have you ever stolen anything from the lost city of the Jedi? That'd be cool, right?
computer notebook.
Kadan's like,
Amuka.
how? What do you know? What do you know?
Nothing.
None of
Nobody
you have been there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they've never even thought about it. It's like it hasn't come up since the second book, aside
Yeah.
from Ken knowing things.
He's also
Yes.
he's buttering them up, but then he says like, I heard all the prophecies. They're not real, and that like you just have spies and stuff. And Jedgar's
Right.
like, that's a lie.
Yep.
yeah.
The tall.
He keeps
he's
burping.
tall.
Yeah, he keeps erping a lot, and then he he tells him about the master computer. Oh no, Kadan says he's interested.
Yeah,
in the master
Kadan knows
computer.
about
yeah.
it, and he goes, I actually have always wanted to steal that.
He cares
Yeah.
not for the relics of the lost city, just the master computer.
Which are there any?
I don't
There's
know,
just guys that
DJ?
control the weather. Remember?
Yeah, there's a homework
Yeah.
correction droid.
Yep.
But look, this is all ruined when Zorba spills on Kadan's favorite carpet. It's made by 100 Ewoks, 5 years to make.
This is one of those things that drives me fucking insane in expanded universe stuff where it's like, we gotta just take a thing from a movie, the Ewoks, which like, it doesn't seem like anyone has ever met the Ewoks before.
or that
No.
they have any textile skills.
Right, but
No, they built
also
stuff out of wood.
it took 100 of them 5 years to make this rug that someone from which like
Like, what kind of rug?
if you're from the Empire, do you want an Ewok rug? Didn't they embarrass
It
you?
seems too
by-
authentic. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. But also, like, when I read it, it was like the Simpsons joke, like how to cook 40 humans. And then it's like how to cook for 40 humans.
Yeah,
Because I thought
yeah.
it for sure at first it was a rug made of 100 Ewoks.
That's what I thought too.
Oh,
And,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
because I was just, my eyes were flying over it, and I was like, "Oh, cool, rug made out of 100 Ewoks." I'm like, "Oh, it just took 100 Ewoks to make."
And then
Yeah.
of all the explorers who have searched for the lost city, I don't know of any who's lived to tell the tale. All of them have.
Yeah, multiple
I guess-
people go in and come out.
Technically,
people
Trioculus
that-
is dead now, but not because of that.
Well,
He never got
maybe
down there.
Zorba's
Yeah.
talking about all the people since the tremor that have walked into the lava.
But that guy lived too.
Every time that Trioculus walked off of a ship onto the surface of Yavin 4, he was set on fire.
Yes.
Which-
we never actually got to
which-
the door.
Kadan falls prey to the foolishness of ground troops
Yes,
in the Empire
it does
later.
happen. It's
Uh,
pretty
Also,
great.
they survive.
Yes.
Yeah,
They
all of
survive.
They
these-
seem
Yeah.
to be fine.
It's like when they talk about all the Jedi. It's like, weren't there 4? Or like when
3
Tricops
it-
is like, better Jedi than you have tried to use that on me. Who?
Yep.
Yeah,
It's just Luke.
Also, this is the carpet. There's 2 carpets of note in this book. The last chapter being called the red carpet.
There is a carpet, a red
and,
carpet
and
for a wedding.
Leia's like really into thinking about it.
Yeah.
It comes
Yeah.
up.
It's odd.
Anyway, Zorba spills a bunch of juice and then rubs it into the carpet with the weight of several tons.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got to be massive.
He's
several
so
tons.
big.
How.
That's what it's. That's how it's spelled.
Yep.
But then we get back to the airspeeder, and I was excited about this because I've wondered what this airspeeder looks like. This whole
I've
because
been
it's always
wondering
like
that too.
it's always like, oh, like he almost fell off of his airspeeder.
But it also
like-
it's very high up. It
Yeah.
goes
Yeah.
over the rainforest.
and then there's a picture of it in the book, and it
Oh.
just looks like his X-34 land speeder
Yep.
from Tatooine, but
Yeah.
it flies.
but it's an air speeder.
Maybe
But
he
it-
had it
it-
shipped.
yeah, but he sold it. He
That's
sold
true.
it.
Maybe
It's not mine anymore.
he might have gone back and bought it, or you know how like
He used
nerds
spin money to buy it back.
You know how nerds
Can I
now
see the
like
picture
Oh
again?
yeah.
buy giant Pokemon card collections because they didn't get all of them when they were kids or whatever.
Yeah.
I think it's like that.
It's
Well-
basically Lego's whole marketing things. You're an adult with money now.
Yeah.
Buy your
Basically,
stuff.
yeah.
Speaking of which, I saw Jabba Sail Barge at Best Buy yesterday.
Oh fuck! Maybe I'll have
500.
to get the endurance.
500.
Yeah. Damn.
Dude, I hear boat like Lego boats. It's just a cool thing, even if it's Star Wars boat.
Anyway,
I mean, they're not.
Anyway,
they're
anyway,
not,
anyway.
They sink.
Air speeder.
I was gonna say also, it's got the picture of the land speeder, but it mentions specifically with Ken holding on tightly behind him, like it's a bike.
Yeah,
it is a
which is
seat.
they're
There's, like,
in seats.
They have seat
But
belts.
I
in
like the
picture.
idea that it's a seated thing with like multiple rows, but
Yes.
Ken's
Oh,
still
yeah.
holding on to
'Cause
Luke's
He's
waist.
scared.
He's really scared.
Where are they going?
It doesn't matter because now we're back at, I guess,
wedding
the
planning.
Senate conference room on Yavin 4, where in dead on, C-3PO is helping plan the wedding.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
perfect.
It's very weird. It's like C-3PO is assisting Leia with the guest list and banquet seating chart, while barrel-shaped R2-D2 scooted around on his wheels. So it's like, this,
What's
like,
he
it's
doing?
like 3PO is helping and R2 is walking around.
He's scooting.
But of course, 3PO is helping. They got 3PO down in this whole series.
Yep.
They know him.
They somehow nailed
And
him.
they're discussing about where to stick Admiral Akbar so he doesn't annoy anyone.
Should we put him with the other sad-eyed fishmen?
Yeah.
Or put him with Mon Mothma.
Yeah, so they're very much into race-based seating.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a big
charts.
thing here.
Because
Yeah, it's
that
like-
happens with Chewbacca very quickly in this chapter, too.
Yes.
But we get some great Han here.
Yeah, he
'Cause
says,
Leia's
huh?
like, where do we put
Floating on a cushion?
Admiral Akbar? He's like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Spinning around. Sounds good.
Whichever you like, Leia, makes no difference as far as I can tell.
Says, aren't you interested in helping to plan the most important day of our lives? And he says, face it.
No.
I'm not cut out for this. And then he's like, I threw an awesome party for my housewarming at my sky house. And that's a bantha of a different color.
Can I want to read this.
Yeah.
Read the,
The
whole
biggest party I ever had, my housewarming party for my sky house, was strictly informal. I did the cooking myself with Chewie, and I brought in a Corellian band to provide all the entertainment. That was the extent of it. But big weddings, that's a bantha of a different color. And then she says, you're not interested in anything new and different unless it's some daredevil feat.
Oh, I forgot about this.
Something so dangerous you can get yourself killed doing it. Yeah, a guy could get killed at a wedding, said Hunt.
Yeah.
A
guy-
septopus might show
It's
up.
the septopus argument all again. He's digging his
He's
heels
just
in.
scared.
A guy could slip on the floor while dancing with his bride and end up breaking his neck.
It's so cool how
What?
how immediately grim it gets.
Leia just wants a little bit of help. He's like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't
Do you
want
want
to do
me
it.
to fucking die, you bitch?
Let's just call it off.
What if we're dancing and I break my neck?
And then they talk about whether or not they want to put Chewie at the Wookiee table.
Yeah. So they're debating whether they should put him at the Wookiee table or with his
Because
family,
he's his best man.
who they specifically say Chewbacca doesn't like his family.
Yeah, he's not too fond of some of his Wookiee relatives, from
Yeah.
what I could tell.
Which is that? Did they just infer that? It seems like they don't talk to him.
Yeah, Chewie, or Luke
Yeah.
says that, weirdly. He walks
Yeah.
in, he's like, Chewie's sitting with us. Because he doesn't like his family.
Luke is way better friends with Chewbacca than Han.
Yeah,
in
they
these
hang out a
books.
lot.
Yeah, he's Han's pet.
Yeah.
And Luke loves
And,
him.
Well, but he could never be best droid.
Yeah,
No.
Chewie even goes on an adventure with Luke a little bit later in this book.
Yeah.
Yep.
And not Han. Han's here the whole time.
Yeah, this is the last we see Han.
I don't think he leaves that floating chair.
Oh, not till the end.
Until
Yeah.
the wedding.
How comfortable is this chair? I don't
Not-
think
it's not the most comfortable,
not
but
the
it's
most-
probably
yeah.
up there if Han's willing to. Well, no, I could see him putting up with discomfort if it meant nothing had to change.
Yeah. So they come back with the omni probe fucking
Yeah, whatever.
shit.
Who cares?
They talk about how they need to fix Triclops' tooth, and then okay, so this is what they're talking about, putting a file on the Lost City of the Jedi filled with disinformation so that Triclops finds it and
Oh,
broadcasts it
almost
to probe droids.
As though it's some kind of decoy.
Yeah.
A
It's
decoy
all
for a
decoys
decoy.
all the way down.
But the idea is they'll send this information with the exact location of the Lost City of the Jedi. The Imperials will go there. They'll get in the tubular transport and they'll all die.
They fall into lava.
Yeah, if the Imperials
That's the
took the
plan.
bait, they might fall into the underground river of molten lava.
How big is the tubular transport? Like they're all gonna fit in there?
In the pictures, it doesn't look very big.
No, it's like
It looked like five people could fit. in it.
yeah, it's like an elevator.
Yeah,
basically.
it's just an elevator. So Triclops starts sleepwalking again, and he does that.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
like, maybe he'll take the files and broadcast them, and then it's
Yeah.
like, that happens.
That happens. And a few X-Wing starfighters were sent to chase the probe droids away.
Yeah.
More than one!
Poe Dameron.
Yep.
August falls in attack positions. Yeah, so then that happens, and then it's time for the trial of the Grand Moffs.
Yeah, where
Chapter 4,
Yep.
where the trial starts, and that's it.
There's a Hollis maneuver.
Yep.
Although this one does start at
It
the trial.
starts
Yeah.
where it says it does.
Yeah.
So Hissa,
Is-
Thistleborn, Dunhausen, and Muzzer.
Yeah, in the Chamber of Dark Justice.
Yes.
Oh, and guess who's back?
Kadan?
Define the Death
Oh,
Lord.
yeah.
That's right.
He got
was
a
He was
promotion.
promoted.
From interrogator to
It's like head inquisitor.
I guess he's a lawyer.
oh no, interrogator supreme.
That's it. Yep.
Otherwise known as a lawyer in this context.
Yeah, and I guess Kadan oversees it, and the prophets are all the jury.
Yeah, and Zorba is the witness. So I guess that was I guess that was the main function of having him around.
He's juror number 2.
But like you're the Empire.
Yeah,
You don't need why are you holding
Well,
a
the funny
trial?
thing is that
for
it's
your own guys.
It's a sham anyway.
You
Yeah,
are
it's
in
a sham
charge
wedding.
of you are at this point the emperor of an empire. What that means generally
Mm-hmm.
is that you have total power
Yeah.
and can do whatever you want.
Keep in mind, he already thought he killed Trioculus when
Yeah.
they brought the carbonite aboard
Yeah,
and then
true.
destroyed it.
Right.
But this, I think he's just doing it to humiliate them and bring up Hissa's file again.
Well,
which
yeah.
Which
At
we'll
least,
get to in a second. I just want to
yeah.
say, they mentioned specifically that Grand Moff Hissa is chained to his hover chair.
Yep.
What?
which like is the hover chair chained to the ground?
No. Did they turn it off?
you can just
I
float
don't know.
away.
No,
You
it's
just
because
sit there.
they move him around.
Yep.
So it's like being chained to yourself.
They put it
Yeah.
in neutral, and they can just push him around in it.
I guess so, yeah.
Maybe.
Yes, so Zorba's there, and he's like, "You thought you'd see me for the last time? Wrong."
Yeah, it's a very Law and Order type reveal. Like, our first witness, Zorba the Hutt, and Hissa says, but Zorba's dead. And then Zorba, very much alive, wiggled through the round doorway and squirmed to the witness stand.
Gives an ho.
Yeah.
And here come the chalk-like balls again.
Finally.
And then
They're
they
back.
Just call him Chalk. Just say it's Chalk.
or just balls.
Yeah.
But then they do the whole like Wizard of Oz shit. As if by some supernatural power, a chilling wind suddenly swept across the chamber of dark justice. But there was nothing supernatural about the wind. At the push of a hidden button, Kadan could make a cold breeze blow from any direction inside the chamber. And at the push of another, he could make the walls resonate with an echo, giving his voice the sound of greater authority.
Yeah, he has a reverb button.
Why can't it just be a big, scary room?
Yeah.
I know.
And that's like, so those balls blue,
That's
it
like
turns
Snoke
out.
saying, like, this is actually a big projection. I'm not this big.
Yeah. I hit a button, and I'm actually small, but it makes
yeah.
me look big.
It makes me look big.
And also, like, my voice is really lame, so I make it sound cooler when I hit this other button.
I like how Hissa leans over and he's like, just so you know, this trial's going to be a sham.
Yeah, he leans over to Buzzer's like,
Okay.
blue is the color of shame and disgrace.
Also, it's
Yeah.
funny because, like, I don't remember where Muzzer gets sent. It's also effectively a death sentence, but
Yeah.
it's nowhere near as terrible as Hissa. And so Hissa's the guy who's going to take the full brunt of this trial,
Well-
and he just says, hey, this is about to be some bullshit.
Don't they say that Hissa is the guiltiest?
He's the
Yeah,
guiltiest.
he's the
That's
most
the
guilty.
word.
He's the
Yeah,
most guilty. Yeah. He also says that blue is the color of shame and disgrace.
Yes.
Yeah. So that basically it's like, oh, Zorba, it says that you were trying to put the disgraced leader Trioculus on the throne.
Yep.
Like Define.
Define.
He's up there with like the powdered wig on and stuff and a big gavel.
Now, I do declare, you tried to put Trioculus on the Empire.
So the trial starts and then it moves on to Luke.
Who Ken lives with
Sleeps on the
He's a
floor
cot.
in their
of
tower
Luke's
house.
Tower.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're talking about Dagobah Tech. He's gonna go back to Dagobah Tech after the wedding. So that's why he's sleeping on the floor of Luke's room.
Oh, right.
So he's like, also he was sitting up on a floating bed trying to memorize a list of atomic weights.
Oh, yeah.
I highlighted that just because I didn't like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Is
Fucking
this?
loser.
He's just looking at the periodic table.
Yep.
It's like what a dumb guy thinks a smart person would do.
Yeah.
He's like, hydrogen.
And Leia
Yeah.
shows up. She's like, well, shoot, we need some macabre mushrooms to get the tooth out
Yeah, a
of.
chemical that could
Triclops.
deactivate the implant.
Yes.
There's a lot of herbal medicine in these books.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then
Like
Luke-
all of it's like a plant that can do this.
Maybe
thing.
that's
Yeah,
what.
and
maybe
no
that's
Baji
the
to help with this
environmental
one.
message.
No,
I don't
it's
know.
the other ones were presented so beautifully.
I know,
Yeah.
I know.
The fact that that's not in here is such a
It says they're extremely rare, but then that this one planet has them everywhere.
yeah. So
So it's not rare.
Oh, Luke does slip into his slippers, though.
yep.
That's right. He does slippers, yeah.
Next to his floating bed. They have floating beds.
Yeah, so they go and they make sure to take a modified Rendili Star Drive Y-wing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unlike the standard one, which isn't big enough, it's only big enough for a 2-man crew and an astromech droid. This one has room for a crew of 4, which we've
Yeah.
seen them put 6 people
Yeah.
inside
Yeah.
them before.
And R2 is not riding on the outside.
No,
Why
he was
do
like
you
in a
f-
seat.
Why
Yeah.
do you feel the need to mention this? Like no one was.
It's like a crossover Y-wing.
I have a
We've
question.
had regular Y-wing and big Y-wing, like SUV Y-wing. This
yeah.
is crossover Y-wing.
Okay. I have a question for Jacob.
Yeah.
Rendili doesn't make the Y-Wings, right?
Rendili, I don't
Well, I
think
think it's
so.
just the Star Drive.
Rendili just
They
makes.
just attach the name to a ship.
I think Rendili just makes they make like the.
Because Rendili Star Drive is a thing. What do they make?
But there's also Rendili like ship manufacturing, which I think they made one of the Akbar ships.
Okay.
Oh, like one of the Mon Calamari ships.
Yeah,
Rendili
yeah.
Star Drive. Dreadnought. Oh, cool.
I'm just gonna keep.
Yeah,
going,
keep on
I'm
plugging.
gonna keep going through this book
Yes, the Dreadnought,
because
yeah.
they make sure that Princess Leia and Han Solo stay behind, so they could continue monitoring Triclops, and also so Han can set up the THX super sound system for the dance that would follow the wedding ceremony, during which surely someone could die.
Yeah.
Him.
I love that Han is like
He's helping.
I'm not gonna go do any of that. I need to set up my new speaker system.
Yeah, good luck with the...
I need to set up the Beats pill for the ceremony.
Yeah.
Just send Chewie. I need to set up the speakers.
That's like I had an uncle growing up that I guess kind of no divorce. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
But he would always have like the nicest shit,
Yeah.
right? He had
Of
like
course.
big TVs when they were still weighed like 200 pounds. And
Yeah.
like
Did he have like a remote, like a
Crazy.
universal remote that you needed a book to
Yep.
operate?
Giant
Yep.
universal remote.
crazy like surround sound.
Yeah.
He would always tell you about it. And I mean, I thought it was cool, but also it's like I don't know what any of this means. This could be like nothing.
That was my uncle.
Yeah, it's all uncle. I mean, everyone has that.
It's not
uncle.
all uncles though. There are sometimes
No.
uncles that are so advanced.
Yeah.
Yes,
Owens.
Owens.
Probably,
yeah.
Oh, there's a chain to his chair. He's got a collar on.
He is just chained to his chair.
But the chair's not chained anywhere.
I know. It
yeah,
doesn't
the
make
other
any
ones are
sense.
chained to their feet.
Yeah.
Which I guess that they were like, that's close enough.
Oh,
He's
there's
got a corroded
like-
hip bone. What are we supposed to do?
Yeah, shoot.
So back to Scardia, they're like, just plead guilty because you're
Yeah.
gonna be guilty anyway.
They
It's like the
say-
Cardassian system, kind of, where you're.
I was thinking exactly that.
Where,
yeah. they
you're-
decide the judgment before the trial.
Yes.
Oh, that's
correct.
fucked up.
Dude, there's actually some pretty Star Trek loves courtroom episodes, just like
They
Paul
do.
and
They love
Hollis.
it so much.
Um,
Every Star
but,
Trek series.
But the thing I would say for Star Trek is it's not expressly for 10-year-olds. So
Right.
having a
yeah.
trial is like,
I'm not sure what
Yeah.
age this is for.
just the Wesley episodes.
So Hissa says he's not guilty.
Oh, like that Wesley
the
episode
one
where they
and the one
kidnap
where
all the children.
Alexander is in the hot tub with
Luxana.
They have a hot tub episode and a courtroom episode.
Well, it's a
Don't
mud
say
pit. It's a
that-
mud pit
that
with
hot tub one's
clowns.
bad news.
yeah,
Okay.
it's weird. It's really,
Kevin
really
Spacey
weird.
kind
That's
of
not the
thing?
clown. That's not the Michael McKean clown, right?
Is he in it?
I think it might be Voyager, actually.
I have not seen
Michael
McKean.
McKean's
I
in
would
like an episode
remember.
of Voyager as a clown, I
I'm
believe.
very excited for that.
Oh, good
Yeah,
lord.
well,
Well, okay, we'll talk about
Speaking
that
of
on our
clowns.
Star Trek podcast
Yeah,
that we won't
yeah.
make.
So Thistleborn, Dunhausen, Muzzer all plead guilty.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
Hissa.
Not guilty.
Oh,
A
He's a war
shocked
hero.
silence fell upon the Chamber of Dark Justice, which is just a few prophets and Zorba.
Yeah.
So they mentioned though
Just
that
not
like
saying anything.
they still have his like Epstein file.
Yeah, Defini's like, your file is
Yeah.
this
Yep.
thick.
We
Holds his hands up.
Some evidence against you.
If you try to do anything to stop the sale of weapons to Israel, we will.
So, every time this file comes up,
We
like,
have your Last of Us 2 review.
you deleted it, but we use Internet Archive. But yeah, every time this file comes up, like it's this big, and if you printed it out,
And it works.
it works
he,
on him.
He shuts up.
Yeah.
Every time he knows what's in. We don't know. We'll never know what's in that file.
Turns out Hissa's the guiltiest.
Yep, he's the guiltiest. That's how they
Yeah,
phrase it.
This is awesome. Like the fact that the trial is a sham, whatever. But this part where Kadan turns to the jurors and say, Grand Moff Hissa says he's innocent. I have just written my prophecy of what your verdict on him will be.
Oh, yeah.
I hereby provide it to you. Study it carefully, but do not let my prophecy influence you in any way because that would be unfair. It's so cool and makes no sense.
Yep.
I'm gonna pass you a note. This is what I'm willing to offer.
Zorba gives a ha ha ha.
He says, ha, ha, ha. And then
A sealed
yeah,
envelope with the prophecy in it.
it's so fucking boring.
Yeah, so Jedgar says, we find Grand Moff Hissa guilty. The Grand Moffs are all guilty, but we conclude that Hissa is the guiltiest.
Can you imagine you're like Muffer, Dunhausen, or Thistleborn, and you hear, we find Grand Moff Hissa guilty. And they're like, yes. And they say, the Grand Moffs are all guilty. And it's like, well, okay.
Hissa's extra guilty.
All right,
Yeah.
let's read their punishments.
These are amazing.
Yep.
I'll do.
Take one, yeah.
Grand Moff Thistleborn, 3 years of hard labor in the rock quarries of the scorching planet Banak. No prisoners ever survived the rock quarries for more than a year. Perhaps you will be the first to do so.
I'll take Dunhausen.
Yeah.
Grand Moff Dunhausen, you're to be sent to the Imperial Correctional Center on the frozen world of Hoth for 4 years. All prisoners there freeze to death within 3 years. But you seem like hardy stock. I
That's
expect you'll set a new survival record, and when you return, you'll have better attitude about your duties to the Empire.
Freeze to
like,
death within 3 years? Like it takes that long, or
Like, you're slowly freezing.
it just happens
Just
by
one day
chance
you wake
to everyone?
up, you didn't even realize that you've been frozen.
Yeah, you're like 90% frozen 2.5
When's,
years in.
when does Kirk and Bones, is that the search for Spock when they go to the ice prison with the changeling? Do you remember what I'm talking about?
Last time I watched that was like, I was barely watching it, and I don't really remember that.
All
one.
right. Anyway, Grand Moff Muzzer, you shall serve for 5 years as the lowly sentry at a small Imperial outpost on the planet Arzid, the planet of macabre mushrooms, tentacle bushes, and deadly arachnors.
Oh, hey!
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Oh, huh.
Shoot.
Which also, like,
Isn't
that
where,
seems
wait a minute,
fine.
That's where.
The other
where-
dude's like,
also-
you're sent to prison. You're going to burn or freeze to death. And
Yep.
he's like, you are going to
Guard
get
duty.
demoted.
You just
yeah.
get kind of a bad job. Also,
Which is
just
kind of what they were worried about. They're like, they're going to demote me. They're going to strip me of my
Defect.
position.
Listen, he
Just
does say
defect.
the last
Don't
century
go.
stumbled into an arachnor web in his first month
Yep.
and is eaten by those
So they do
hungry
still give a
giant
time
spiders.
frame on how often
Yeah,
they die.
it's
Yes.
always less than your
Yep.
sentence.
Yep. Clever. Ooh, what a twist.
Yeah.
And what is
It's a
Hissa's?
Wishmaster style twist. Yeah, who wants to read Hissa's?
I think Jacob should.
Okay, I'll read it. Let's see. Kadon stared at Grandma Hissa, who was chained to his hover chair.
Let me just say again, 2 modes for the Davises.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Grand Moff Hissa, because Zorba the Hutt assures me that your crimes are more serious than those of your companions, because you led the plot to return Trioculus to his position of power, I sentence you to die a cruel and unusual death. This is awesome.
Yeah.
You shall be starved, and when you are mad and insane with hunger, you shall be served your last meal. It shall be a meal of biscuits that have live parasites baked into them.
It doesn't need to be biscuits. It could be anything.
The parasites will begin eating you from inside the pit of your stomach and will work their way slowly to your outermost layer of flesh. Says Zorba.
Crazy.
Like that's
Crazy.
So fucked up.
Brutal.
You should
Yeah.
be fed biscuits with
You
parasites
shall be
in them.
fed a candy-flavored bun.
Yeah.
This biscuit is so vague. But
I know.
Yeah, that's
It
crazy.
could be any food
It's
item.
so fucked
When I
up.
read that, even just starting with "You shall be starved," I was like,
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Jesus Christ. He's already in a wheelchair.
Yeah, they're ha-ha-hawing, and then Gornash comes in, and he's like, Tricops just provided us with the precise location of the entrance to the lost city of the Jedi.
Oh!
And then, yes, he smiles because his spy did well and impressive given that Tricops didn't even know he was a spy.
So cool.
All right, this is where I think started falling asleep because nothing is highlighted.
Tiki Hava?
Tiki Hava, the sun, Tiki Hava.
Yeah.
Oh, I like the title of this one. Oh,
Yeah.
Web of Disaster, Chapter 5.
That's not bad.
That's not bad.
That's not bad.
That's not bad.
I gotta hand it to them.
And then it starts about they're flying on a Y-wing. Luke and Chewbacca, our favorite duo, are flying around Tiki Hava, the sun that Arzid
the Arzid
orbits.
sun, yeah.
Yeah,
So they go to the mushroom forest. There's tentacle bushes.
yeah.
Yeah,
Who
which-
else is here? There's Ken,
It's
Luke,
Ken,
The droid.
Chewbacca, and
3PO
R2
and
and 3PO
Yeah,
for some reason.
yeah. Luke has a portable stun cannon.
Yeah, it's
Which
like
he puts on his
shoulder mounted.
shoulder?
Yeah, it's like a giant bazooka.
There's more portables. They love portable things.
They love
And
it,
It could just
yeah.
be a stun cannon or like a pistol.
Yeah, he uses a gun all the time.
They stun.
for some reason.
They stun. What's his face? Zebo or whatever. The
yeah,
Muka?
Spoiler alert.
Muka. They stun the Muka with a
Well,
just a
regular gun,
pistol.
yeah.
Why
Portable.
is it a portable stun cannon?
I don't know. At least
They
it's
have
not
to
an ion
write.
cannon.
They have to write something. They didn't do a lot of.
It's like tech stuff.
They didn't do a lot of tech stuff this time. They had basically that and the Omniprobe.
Yeah, that's kind of it, really.
It's pretty disappointing. No ecological disaster. Not much things. There is a TNT later,
There
Yeah,
is a
yeah.
single TNT.
but there's no like what dozer,
Yeah.
boulder dozer,
boulder dozer.
a Corellian
land
boulder
the-
dozer.
So they're on this like planet where before they go, they're like, it's so dangerous. There's tentacle bushes and giant spiders.
Oh, and Ken's like,
They-
"What's a tentacle bush?"
Well, yeah, but then Ken,
Again,
they
not knowing
land-
anything.
They land and Ken is like, catch me, and just sprints off.
Yeah, he sees mushrooms and he says, "Cool! There's
Yeah.
a macabre mushrooms everywhere up on the hill. Let's go." Last one there was a Kowakian monkey lizard, and he just fucking takes off.
Which immediately a spider.
Yeah, he gets attacked
Or
by a
arachnor
arachnor
sees him.
immediately.
Yeah. Chewie, he keeps moaning, and they all get hit by tentacles and caught in shrubs.
Yeah, their
and
ankles get grabbed by
nets.
tentacles a lot.
Luke has no idea how to use the Force for a lot of this.
Yeah.
He just forgets, I guess.
See, Chewbacca says "Growlf" and then he says "Rarf."
Yep.
Yep. And then they get stuck on shit. There's a slippery embankment, and then he gets stuck to the web like molasses.
Like
which,
molasses.
What the fuck? Like molasses? That's like when in that earlier book when it was like he kneeled as though a serf being knighted by a king, and it's like what? What?
Yeah.
This is better or worse than hot chocolate in Heir to the Empire.
I'm gonna say this is better because at least it's an ingredient.
Yeah, and not like a prepared thing.
Yeah.
Not something that you make
It's not like so he made some
with your
carbonara.
marshmallows. Yeah. It's like, yeah, maybe molasses exists in this universe as
Yeah.
just like a dessert item, but he sticks to a
It's
web
like my least
molasses.
favorite Star Trek thing where they just take a normal thing but put an alien name in front of it.
Oh, of
Yeah,
course.
They
It's-
do it with like animals and food a
I
lot.
think it's just like a sci-fi thing. Corellian ale.
That's why
Yeah.
it's so much better when in Deep Space Nine they just introduce root beer as like a thing.
Yeah.
And
What?
It's
Yeah.
like synonymous with Earth.
But it's just
Earth drinks.
regular root
Yeah.
beer. Yeah.
They don't
Oh.
say like Barnelian root beer.
Right.
I want
like-
a root beer right now.
I know, dude. It's
Sounds
it-
And like
I gotta say it might
Kanar
be
is
the
just
best.
Kanar. It's just Kanar. It's not fucking Romulan ale, which is fine and cool. And actually,
Right.
like Romulan ale sounds pretty.
If it
funny.
has its own
especially because
Romulan
it's like
name.
grain alcohol.
Yes.
But yeah, like just you don't need to put the name. Just come up with a different alien sounding name for it, and that's it.
Yeah.
just
That's like
call it
saying
whatever.
I'm gonna order some Indian tikka masala.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Which, damn.
Or
a
it's
tikka
like,
masala and a
or
root
it's
beer?
like
good
calling
too.
tequila Mexican whiskey. Call it tequila.
So Luke gets his lightsaber out. This is a weird description of it. So he gets out his lightsaber. It says he aimed the green blade of the laser.
They don't know
At the
how they
tentacle.
work.
They don't.
They
because
don't
they're
know how they
work. Is it a
batons
gun? Is it
or
a sword?
guns.
Is it a
makes
laser?
no sense. At some points, he just knocks people unconscious.
It talks about how he bashes people with it and
He
like
just-
knocks them
He's
over.
just clocking them with the hilt.
They can't. The Hollises
Maybe.
don't. Or the Davises. They don't know what it is. They're like, how does
No.
it work?
Not
They have
at
no
all.
idea.
Is it a laser? Is it a sword?
But
It can't be both.
there's some warnings from the droids, and 3PO says, "Watch out! There's an arachno climbing down the mushroom right behind you."
Yeah.
You're standing on the...
An arachno. Oh no, an arachno.
So it weaves the web around. I had no idea what was happening here. I might have been awake. I
kinda
didn't
weird.
highlight anything. Chewie's like
you
up
didn't need to. I didn't
Chewie's
either.
up a hill.
Yeah, look, blank.
Yeah, Luke says, like, sorry, Chewie, not going to help you. Got to go help Ken first.
Right.
It's more important.
And Chewie gets away. Or they find him. Or the droids do
Yes.
something. Anyway, they get captured. Ken and wow, I went pages without doing anything.
Nothing happened. I mean, it's just Ken and Luke both get Shelob style wrapped up.
Yeah, which guy shows up? Gornash? Who shows up? Which Moff?
Well, it's the one that got sent there.
Muzzer?
Muzzer, yeah.
Is it Muzzer? Muzzer shows up and
Yeah.
arrests them and stuns them with stun blasts.
Yeah, he fired, targeting both of the Rebel Alliance prisoners. The stun beam had precisely the expected effect.
There's some of their best sentences are in this book. I have to read this one. Still trying to free his ankle from the tentacle bush. Chewbacca looked down the hill to see what was happening also.
They're like two pretty unrelated things.
I know.
It's like he was trapped.
Also.
To see what was happening also.
There's another great one of those things later when it's like, when the day came faster than he
Yeah.
could have expected.
Yep.
Yeah, they are in rare form.
Yeah.
And then he says, Muzzer gets him and says, oh wait, no, that's the leader of the stormtroopers. My bad. Never mind.
Yeah, but then 3PO says the situation has gotten quite out of hand for the likes of 2 droids and a Wookiee.
Yeah.
Which
Sure, whatever.
I don't know, like
What are they gonna
weird
do?
guys and robots are most of the populace
Yeah.
in Star
Only
Wars.
humans could solve this problem.
Yeah, droids get the short end of the straw.
Yeah.
Short
What's wrong
straw
with
again.
Wookiees? Wookiees are an intelligent species.
Yeah, they have they're good with tech.
Yeah.
They build cool houses. They
They
fly
have
around
a
on
beautiful
dragonflies.
beach
He's
planet?
constantly being
Beautiful
shown
planet.
repairing the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah, he's a good pilot and
Yeah.
engineer.
Yeah.
But this is like an idiot.
Wouldn't you like to celebrate Life Day?
I would.
You know?
Yeah.
I would. So then they fly over to a huge golden craft beyond Tiki Hava, the Scardia Voyager.
We stand away again on Tiki Hava. Yeah, so they end up with Kadan on the Scardia Voyager.
Oh yeah, so they must have just dropped him off, and he's like, "Wait, give me back up, I got
Yeah.
somebody."
Please lower my
Yeah.
sentence.
Waving his arms around, I've got 2 Jedi!
He's doing a good job down there
Yeah.
with his sentence.
Kadan turns to Ken, notice he's shivering. Is it too cold for you in the Scardia Voyager? Perhaps you'll care for a cup of hot tea. And there's a tray of biscuits too.
Of course. And then Luke's
Hopefully not.
Luke's like, don't drink that.
Yeah.
And Ken's like,
Parasites.
look.
Yeah.
Yeah, he goes, I'm sorry, I was so
I was
thirsty.
so cold.
Yeah.
He's very specific though. It might have Ava Bush in it.
Which, this is so funny because Kadan's like, why would I use Ava Bush on a kid? And then later
You
it's like,
have
it's
already.
like Ken,
And that was
who
Zorba?
just drank
Zorba
Ava
did,
Bush.
Yeah, he actually did.
He did use it, which
course
is
he
so
did.
it's so funny.
Ken
But
is
they,
an oaf.
they keep dosing this kid.
Yeah.
At least he doesn't say anything weird like Zorba did. It's
Yeah,
bad to lie.
yeah.
If it's bad for boys to lie.
Yeah,
to us.
I know a lot about boy biology or boy psychology. That's what it was. This is just so. And here's another weird sentence. Narrowing his gaze to a mere slit.
A mirror.
Kadan spied the dome-shaped crystal birthstone.
This is where
Which
we
a
get all
birthstone? That's a thing, right?
yeah.
Like your color.
Yeah.
Either way, yeah, a mere slit.
So then Ken, he says, when introducing himself, says, they call me Ken.
which I highlighted a note, made a note. They call me Chuck.
They call me Chuck. There's also a line from Kadan that sounded too much like a Neimoidian line. It would appear your days of fighting for the rebellion have come to an end, Skywalker. Sounds like when Amidala comes in Keira Knightley. Your little insurrection is at an end.
Oh, yeah.
Your Highness.
They ask Ken about his name. He says, "I think it's because I'm named after Obi-Wan Kenobi."
Where the
Yeah.
fuck?
I don't know. I didn't highlight anything.
Oh, there we
either.
go.
They got
Call
the
me Ken.
Imperial Mole Triclops. They tell them about that. The tooth. Of course, he gives them all the
They
information.
run down the
immediately.
whole book.
Yeah,
He
just
gives
in
them.
case,
He gives them everything.
I guess,
Ken's-
yeah.
It's like not even that he was like pressed into doing it. He just was so cold and so thirsty
Yeah.
that he drank this tea, and now he's giving them everything.
Well, but
Yeah.
Kadan also tells them we have a spy. It's Triclops. It's his molar. It's like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't you want him to still be there and spying?
Yeah, there's no contingency here
Luke can't use the Force again
because of the stun.
Yeah.
Anyway, they're all back on Yavin. They just go back. Like they drive
right.
that Y-wing there
Yeah.
and then get picked up and then driven back home.
Yeah.
Soon they're hovering above Yavin 4.
They take Hissa for no fucking reason.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
So-
there's a
Could-
plot reason, I guess.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
like,
but he's just kind of. I guess they want to watch him starve.
He's like his plaything now. It's like, oh, it's Ted Hissa. He
yeah,
might die.
his
bring
dog.
the pet. Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
our chained
Uh,
guy in a
but,
wheelchair.
Kadan is, after all this incredible plan to subvert his spy, Tricops, Kadan is like, I don't know, this seemed to have come to us a little easily. Why don't we send Hissa down this tubular transport?
Yeah, just in case.
Yeah.
Just in
Happens.
case.
Hissa should be the first to descend. If this is a trick and he dies, nothing is lost since he's been sentenced to death anyway.
Yep.
Which, in the end, this is actually a small kindness paid to Hissa.
Yes, and Hissa doesn't, since the trial, no speaking, no lines, and he won't have any until the very end.
Well, he has that file.
Yeah.
The Define.
How big is it? This big.
It's this
Yep.
big.
This big.
It's that big.
So so he goes down the tubular transport, and Hissa's chair, which had been designed to float only a few feet above the ground, went out of control as he steered it through the tubular transport door and over a gigantic hole. Why did he leave it? Don't leave the tube. What are you doing?
You got a picture of that?
There's a picture.
When he struck the flaming lava, he bobbed up and down, baked by the deadly molten sea. No, Kadan, no! Hissa screamed, but soon he melted into the fiery underground stream, and his charred remains sunk to its depths.
It's
Which
so
they know
grim.
about somehow.
It's so grim.
They don't. How do they know about this?
It's just like
it's happening. Like
It would
10
only make
stories-
sense
It's
if
for
it was a
us.
shaft.
It's just for us.
Isn't it miles underground?
Yeah,
I
it's like
think so.
inside the planet. But
Well,
check this
well,
out.
here's the thing: is that. Wow!
That is not how it's described at all.
Yeah, it's like in this, there's an elevator that hits the bottom and then a hatch opens and
Yeah.
he comes flying out.
That does not look like a new cave either.
And him just going, ah!
Yeah.
As he falls.
Yeah, this is-
clutching his hover chair.
This is peppered with stalactites and stalagmites.
Yeah, that's like existing cave system.
So
Yeah,
like,
that's DJ going. It's
Yeah.
the craziest thing. We,
It's crazy.
we didn't know about
there
this.
used to be a little cave with no lava.
It was
now
damp.
There's
It was
a
damp.
massive underground cavern with a lava fall.
I like the idea that it was that big of a cave beforehand, and you just plummet it.
Yeah,
like,
this is an all-time image right here.
Yeah,
that's
that's really good.
really,
it's so like
really
upside down, plummeting
Yeah.
out the bottom of a trap door
So-
in an elevator.
good. Hiss is dead.
Hiss is dead.
That's it.
He died.
Yeah,
He fell down a hole.
Just poor Hissa, and he just. I wish he could have gone to another Moffrence.
I know.
Yeah.
He
Oh, that
loved
would have
those
been the best.
Moffenses. He died doing what he loved, though.
So this is where he's like, you tricked me. Kadan's like, Luke, you tricked me.
You
Let's
son of a
Triclops.
bitch.
Shoot. Next, we'll have to find the real entrance now.
Oh well,
Guess
guess we'll
we-
just do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Ken will just tell me where it is.
Such a useless death.
So he pulls
So
out
funny.
the other half of Ken's fucking necklace, birthstone.
Yeah,
Hey, I
Ken
have
tells them where
this.
the entrance is, where the
Yeah.
green marble wall is.
Yeah.
Yeah, he removes the half sphere.
Oh, it's so
I got it from your father.
Oh
And
my
he says,
god.
I know who your father is and all the secrets, yada yada. You got to take me to the lost city of the Jedi.
He's
And I'll
like-
tell you everything.
and Ken, he struggles with it a little, you know. He's
Yeah,
like,
you must join me.
Yeah,
Ken.
he does think about it. He considers it.
Well, but also he'd had a few gulps of avabush spiced tea.
which
Yes,
is kind of just
because
the,
he was
like,
cold.
Okay, so he can't just do this because he's conflicted.
He has to be
He
drugged.
has to be drugged.
Even though they say, and obviously I know a character can lie, but for
Yeah.
him to be like, don't drink it, it might have a drug in it. And Luke says, and Kadan says, well, I wouldn't do
I
that.
can't-
And then
yeah.
it's not even a point later where Kadan just goes, haha, I used a drug in it. It
Yeah.
just says, like, matter of factly, like, well, yeah, the avabush spice is clouding his mind, which,
Yeah.
by the way, he had.
And like, just
He says
the-
they're gonna free them on Hoth.
yeah.
They always talk about fucking Hoth.
They love
They
Hoth.
don't go, though.
Hoth is
Hoth is-
not an important.
What if they run
planet
into
yet.
Dunhausen
It's also-
there?
Yeah.
It's also crazy that, like, Hoth is a place where they tried to squash the rebellion and everyone got away. And I
Yeah.
guess the Empire was like, I guess we could put a prison here.
Yeah, there's already infrastructure.
Yeah.
Let's just put some cages
I
in.
guess.
The only reason Hoth exists probably is because the first movie opens on a desert planet. So they're like, hey, what's different?
do
What's the
something
opposite
different.
of hot?
Then,
Yeah.
the third one they do jungle.
And guess
Yeah.
what? It's cool as hell.
Yeah,
It's awesome.
I'll
Hoth
say so.
rocks.
Extremely sick.
That is
Oh.
one of the best openings to a movie fucking
It's
ever.
like the
so
most
cool.
incredible
It's-
first hour of a movie.
It
Yes,
really is just
it's great.
unbelievable. And it's such a great thing that these books fundamentally don't understand is that you can you can let time pass between books and between entries into something. So like the first book ends, well, actually the first movie ends the same place this book ends, which it makes a point to tell us.
Oh, wait.
Where the wedding
Trioculus
is.
dying.
Oh, yeah.
No. The New Hope ends where the wedding is what I'm saying.
Oh, right. And, like,
And then it picks.
Oh, in the location.
Then it picks up in Hoth.
Yes.
That's interesting, right? It makes
Yeah,
you wonder
sure.
rather than being like, remember this happened? Well, now this is happening because that happened. Now they're doing this and it's happening.
Yeah.
Also, I was singing to myself this morning, and that I've a bush spice. that I've a bush tea. We were looking for lost cities.
It's so funny. Like, you bring that up, and, like, that's exactly what, like, Force Awakens and Last Jedi do. End in one spot and start in the exact
Right,
same
because he just
spot.
tosses it.
It's like, oh,
Yeah.
I guess, like, nothing happened in the middle.
And I couldn't tell you what happens between that movie and Rise of
I have
Skywalker.
no
It's
Have
called?
you noticed, though, that
The Dead Speak. Fortnite.
this
That's right.
series is the same as
It
the
mirrors-
sequel?
It is. It
It's
is. Yes.
so similar to the sequel trilogy.
And I will say,
It's bizarre.
we'll get to it in a little bit, but the big reveal that we all see coming, or like
Yeah.
maybe we didn't as a kid.
I didn't because
spoiled
it's
it.
so
I
stupid.
spoiled
really
it for
stupid,
myself.
but it's treated with more excitement than Rise of Skywalker
Yes.
did.
Yeah.
To be
Yeah,
fair,
yeah.
I'm also stupid. I just watched a show that had a similar reveal that I didn't see coming.
What show?
It just wrapped up.
That we were both watching?
Yes, it was about parental lineage, and it was something telegraphed like a mile away.
MILF Manor.
Yeah.
It was MILF Manor. Yeah,
yeah.
they find
I know-
out
I know
it's
what you're
all
talking
their
about.
own parents.
I thought, I was like, oh, is that what's going on? And then I was like, that's kind of stupid. And then
I guess you
Yeah.
also had
Yeah.
your Drapac moment in the previous podcast.
Yeah, I guess these
Oh,
things I
yeah,
just let
yeah.
them get by me because I'm
Yeah.
like, they has to be more interesting.
no, I
than
do the
that.
same thing though. There's stuff that's so stupid. Like
you don't
especially
want this in your head.
especially talking to like, God bless him, James. About things where he's like, yeah, and I saw that coming a mile away, and I was like, I was just kind of enjoying
I'm
the
just kind
ride.
of-
I
yeah.
wasn't really like
You're watching the movie.
theorizing. I was,
I remember I saw Knives Out with someone, and they're like, "So what point did you figure it out?" I was like, "I didn't. I was kind of
wasn't
just
trying to
letting the
figure
movie
it out.
I figured out the
happen."
split second before it was revealed when I think it was designed for people to figure it out.
Yes,
to
when
have
it's
the
when it's very
realization.
satisfying.
Yeah.
Right.
But it didn't feel good reading reviews of the thing that I had completely missed and seeing someone write. And then this thing happened, which you'd see coming if you had even a shred of media literacy.
Shut
I
up.
was like, "Fuck you."
Fuck off.
Yeah.
You had to you got to think about it before you wrote this.
Anyway, what we're all alluding to is that Tricops is Ken's father.
Oh my god!
Which-
meaning Palpatine
Is his grandpa
is pop.
Ken Skywalker.
Yeah.
It's the same.
It's
You're
the
right.
same.
It's
It's
the
exactly
same.
the same.
Except,
It is
like-
exactly the same.
Ray's dad is like, who cares?
He's some guy.
and
Yeah.
this one, it's just a three-eyed weirdo.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ray's dad, I guess in Rise of Skywalker, it's just like, oh, importance skips a generation.
They're just like, oh,
Yeah.
he had a kid at some point,
Yeah.
right? Or was
He's
it
like
a clone?
he's like a clone of Palpatine, but he's normal or
Yeah.
something. I don't actually know.
he also
it.
doesn't look anything like Ian McDermott.
McDermott.
No, not at
McDermott?
all. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
doesn't
in
matter.
this, it's like it's this reveal, and Ken's like, no. And in Rise of Skywalker, Kylo's like, Palpatine's your grandfather. Right? It's like, huh? And we're all like,
good.
what?
I remember watching it in the theater and being like, what?
They're like in a Star Destroyer hangar, just like fighting, and he's like, Palpatine's your grandfather.
This
I
is
like-
the most we could do?
Look, okay, it's Star Wars. I guess you just have to have a
It's
reveal.
the only reliable
You don't. There's no
thing.
reveal in like the prequels, right?
I
I mean, that's not like a great benchmark. I
Because
guess.
I guess like you already
There's
know
the
what's
reveal in
happening.
Phantom
Right.
Menace that it's a fake Padme for
Or
the
that-
princess.
or
Oh
that-
yeah, that's kind of cool. I
or that
guess.
Anakin is Jesus Christ.
There was no father.
Yeah. But like, I guess if you must have a reveal.
Yeah.
I don't.
What if Ken's
Palpatine's
related-
fine?
Yeah, like
It
it's
could have
like,
been fine,
in his dumb
like-
kids book. It's like, oh, okay.
It's
even-
weird that he has kids.
Yeah.
Because he died and you never saw them.
You never
but,
saw him
like,
fucking.
Never.
But also, he's a clone, right?
Well,
Like,
in
somehow
Rise
on
of Skywalker-
Exegol.
Yeah,
But I think her dad was born before.
Let's
actually
you know
died.
what? Let's not talk about
No,
Rise of
let's
Yeah, we
Skywalker.
don't need
Yeah,
to.
I don't
We
want
I'd really
yeah.
rather not.
we could talk about this instead.
Let's
This is
talk about an
rather talk-
Imperial intelligence agent who is an expert at computers.
Yeah.
I actually
no name
like
or
this
anything.
book more
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Now that we
Yeah.
talked about that, we should
Yeah.
have started every episode talking about Rise of Skywalker, so that
Just
when
to
we
lower
came
the
back
bar.
to this,
Yeah,
it would
yeah,
feel
yeah.
like
Climb
like
up.
a cool drink of water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they have the Dark Prophet's IT guy,
Yes.
Hux is kind of a Hissa.
He's kind of a Hissa, except dumber somehow.
Yeah, dumber
I'm
and
the Grand Moff.
yeah.
They just throw him into a hole.
Yep.
So they go
Oh,
down.
Gornash is the Imperial intelligence officer who was an expert at computers.
Oh no, Gornash
No.
is there in addition to the Imperial
Oh.
agent, who never has a name. They're just like they just called an Imperial intelligence agent
They
who's
just
an expert
brought
at
an
computers.
IT guy
Yeah,
with them.
and a group
I
of
guess so,
stormtroopers.
yeah. Which
And
it
Luke
isn't
gets
important.
left behind.
They bring him.
They bring him. Oh,
they bring
he's-
him down
he's
because then
like-
we can't get. We need the big moment between
right.
Luke and Ken.
Yeah.
where Ken is just ready to be like, I guess I'm evil.
Okay, I'm trying to.
Yeah,
that's
no,
right.
he's fucked up by this.
He's like, oh shoot, I'm an evil guy now. So like they go down to the Lost City because
yeah.
Ken gives them everything.
For the first time, he viewed. This is a Kadan thing. For the first time, he viewed with awe the many dome houses and winding streets filled with caretaker droids. You live in a giant cube in the null zone.
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah.
cool.
yeah.
Why-
With your
You're in. He's in
5-year
awe
rug.
of a cul-de-sac
You have a big rug made of by Ewoks.
made of Ewok.
So they pass Ken's dome house at 12 South Jedi Lane.
Love it.
Ziba comes out of a window and they shoot him.
Yep.
they shoot him.
They shoot him right away.
He says, "Leave Zebo alone."
Yep.
Yeah, so they shoot Ziba like once and they kick him.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they beat the shit out of him.
If Leia
Beat
were
up his
here, she and Luke would have exchanged glances and wondered whether he was dead or unconscious.
Oh yeah, because Zebo attacks Kadan's face.
Yep.
He just immediately attacks Kadan, and then Kadan kicks him, and then they shoot him with a gun.
The only other living thing in the Lost City,
An animal.
an animal,
Yep.
and they shoot it.
Yeah.
It's so funny. I mean, that is what bad guys would do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They don't kill him. They just kick him and shoot him with a stun
Yeah, they
cannon.
take great lengths to make sure everyone is stunned and never shot.
Never dying unless you're Hissa,
Yeah.
who dies a
Tri-
horrible,
And then
Or
horrible.
Trioculus.
Yeah.
DJ, he says, Ken, why did you lead them here? His red eyes shining as he stared at the boy he had dutifully raised. Why have you led the Empire to the most sacred place of the Jedi Knights? As covered, droids can't experience happiness,
Nope.
friendship,
Nope.
love, but they can feel betrayal.
Yeah.
This has
Oh,
come
yeah.
up before, and
Yep.
now his betrayal microcircuits are pinging.
Oh yeah. He says, I had to, DJ. They would have killed Luke if I'd refused. Also, I drank
Oh, yeah.
all that tea immediately because I
Yeah.
was so cold.
Right.
It's
By
like,
the
that doesn't
way,
really,
they were going to kill Luke.
that's not gonna warm you up, really.
No, not that
If it's
much.
that cold. you
Yeah.
know?
What are you, like a little like
He's
English
a little
boy?
piggy.
Right.
He's just a little piggy. And he saw a cup of hot tea.
He said
Yeah.
if he got some candy flavored buns, he would have eaten those
Would've been
regardless
over.
of
I
temperature.
love Kadan. You knew this day would come, didn't you, DJ? Fuck. You've studied all my prophecies.
I like the idea that they're like a Professor X and Magneto
Right.
pair that through the ages have,
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
become opposing sides.
DJ says, I concluded that your prophecies about the lost city of the Jedi had almost no probability of coming true.
Guess I was wrong. That's
Sure.
egg on my face.
Yeah. What
So
the
he
fuck?
downloads like the blueprints to all the rebel files. Which I feel like
Yeah.
you just need the location.
Including
but-
DRAPAC, the Defense Research and Planetary Assistance Center, located atop Mount Yoda on,
On
the
the planet
Dagobah.
Dagobah.
Yeah, there we go.
He also
Just in case you
downloads
forgot.
Jedi lore.
Yeah.
He downloads Wikipedia.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah, he says that you shall soon suffer an imperial assault, an assault more powerful and effective than any we have launched against you before. It will mean the end of the Rebel Alliance once and for all in one fiery explosion.
Which, why does this
Okay.
city of droids have the info that... Couldn't they just bomb them to begin with?
They know where they are.
They know exactly
sent
where
probe
they
droids
are.
in there inside the thing to like have Trioculus count down from 20.
Also, like... ah,
And then Kadan's like, I'm gonna tell you everything, Ken, and DJ's like, this is why we weren't gonna tell you till
Yeah.
you were a man.
It is funny. He's like, okay, so we got that's the computer sorted. Ken, can I
So-
tell you about this?
Yeah. So we wanna read the big reveal about who Ken's parents are and aren't?
I don't know where that is.
I got it.
You got it?
I do. I did have the line
Um,
highlighted. Where's my tea that I asked for half
Where
an hour
is
ago?
my tea?
Is it?
Oh yeah, does Luke say that?
I think so.
That's
yeah, he's
right.
pretending.
Yeah, pretending to be Kadan. Anyway, Kadan turns to Ken. Though you were born with the blood of a Jedi, he explained, your hunch that Obi-Wan Kenobi is your father is quite mistaken. You are no relation of Obi-Wan Kenobi. You are named Ken after your mother.
Oh,
Kadan glanced at the intelligence agent, narrowing his eyes to mere
Mere
slits.
slits.
Yeah. Call up the file on Kendalina.
IT guy does that, I'm sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the IT guy does that.
So there's a Jedi Princess. What is that? What is a Jedi Princess?
Which also, like,
I have no clue.
I just
like-
realized that means both his parents were Jedis? Because wouldn't the lineage of the Jedi be from Tricops, who's Palpatine's son?
But Triclops, it's really unclear if he's like
Has
can
any
use
powers.
the Force or like. I guess he can, but it's not like a Jedi.
He
It's
shoots
but
power
he-
beams out of his eye.
He gets
He
like dream. Yeah, he
unrelated.
can do things with his powers and dream like
Yeah,
dream walk.
right. But unrelated to that, he marries the Jedi princess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
whatever
Who
the
comes
hell
from
that is.
Right. I don't know.
somewhere.
She was a nurse on the planet Kessel, where she
Also-
met Triclops.
That
Right.
also
While
means
he was
that
getting
like
whipped.
because she was imprisoned instead of killed for some reason. They do explain why she was alive. I think.
Yeah,
She was, like,
she was
captured.
forced
She's
to
got
pledge
skills.
allegiance to the Empire.
Yeah,
she was
yeah.
captured
Just
by
like Baji.
Imperials. Yeah, and then he was free.
Yeah, no. Then
After
they
that.
broke him out.
But yeah,
in
she
the
just
side.
like met Triclops there while she was a nurse.
You mean the man who became your father?
That's the very one.
Yeah.
Oh, and he has three. Like they met a guy. He has three eyes, two at the front, one at the back.
And then
How
I
about
can
that?
see Ken being like, I don't know.
And
Who's that?
oh,
Who
and
could
then
that be?
and then Kadon's like, "This is your father," and he shows
Turns
him a
the
picture.
screen around.
Yeah.
Ah!
He says it can't be true. Please, no, it isn't true.
Descended from the royal blood of the Empire. There is no fucking lineage
Also,
here. It's
is it a monarchy or is it a legal claim?
right? Yeah, that's what I
Some
don't know.
kind of weird
idea.
thing. But then Ken's sad. Then Kadon's like, "Behold your grandfather," and he shows him a picture of Palpatine.
And then
no!
I got confused because I thought it's Kadon explaining everything, but actually DJ takes over.
Yes.
He says, "Be still."
Yeah.
Oh,
Why
this
do you
is
think
what
you
that
were brought
looks
to
like.
us, Ken?
It's a big screen that he's showing Palpatine on.
I see
yeah,
this.
It is.
Oh, that's look at it pointing.
Pull
That's
it up on the
crazy.
TCL 4K Roku.
Siri.
I can't. I'm having trouble. What is it? The
Is it a
mirroring.
Is it HDMI 2.1?
Yeah.
Make sure it's connected to the THX super sound system.
Sir, this input is not ARC.
Do you have optical audio or Bluetooth?
Wait a minute. This phone doesn't have an IR blaster.
Yeah.
Does anyone have a remote? Anyway.
Behold your grandfather.
Yeah, that all happens, and then Luke is able to use the Force again.
Yeah.
The first step is to free his hands,
Oh,
but
yeah,
he just does it.
He's like up on the surface.
Yeah.
Is
they
that
leave
where
him
he
up
is?
there.
I like in a ship or something. I don't
Yeah.
know. He's just prisoner up on some ship. They left him up there.
He
Okay.
mind tricks his guards.
Yeah, which the mind trick is always pretending to be a different person.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
when Ken says, "I'm Tibor," and they say, "Okay."
Oh, they also shut down DJ forever.
Oh yeah.
forever.
Well, yeah. Who's gonna turn him back on?
Yeah,
I guess so,
nobody.
yeah.
They turn off
These
DJ.
droids.
Yeah. Exactly. That comes up a couple times.
Yeah, and let's see. They turn him off. Then Luke's up there feeling a disturbance in the Force. I think it's the first time they've ever said that phrase.
Yeah.
Yeah. He talks about how he needs tea. He pretends to be Kadon. The
Yeah.
Jedi mind trick.
It works. He gets out. He goes to the other room. He goes to like another room.
This is when I was the most asleep.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
relics room, and already he's been captured 20 minutes ago.
Yes.
Yeah.
It sounds like.
I think
And
one
Kadon
stormtrooper
left.
was watching him.
Post
Yeah.
haste.
There's a plaque that says Luke Skywalker's lightsaber. This is the lightsaber that cut off the right hand of Darth Vader inside the Imperial Death Star.
Well, I like to think that it was an empty.
It was already there.
It's
It's
like
waiting.
Timmy Turner's dad's trophy podium.
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
this
if
is
he
where I'd
had
put
one.
one if I had one.
Yeah.
It's just he sits in there and he
sitting there.
looks at this podium and this little sign.
Also, is it really? It wasn't a hand,
Chops his hand off.
Glove.
but it's a glove.
Yeah, but his hand was in it.
Right. It cuts
No,
off
but I mean
the
it's
right
a robot
hand.
hand.
Yeah.
Well,
It's not a hand. It's a robot hand.
Yeah, but it's
Right,
like,
but
it's hand shaped.
but
He never wore that glove with a hand. It was always just a robot. He's a legless,
Well, I guess
armless man.
that one was his original robot hand.
Maybe
Maybe he probably got it upgraded.
he
while
got it
was Darth
upgraded
Vader.
so many times.
remember
Yeah.
how fleetingly they mentioned Luke's own robotic hand
Yeah,
in I think the second book when he in the explosion. Remember?
yeah.
When he's thrown backwards over a seat in a
His
Y wing.
fingers get
Oh,
mangled.
yeah,
or
Yeah,
yeah,
his
something.
fingers get
yeah.
mangled. But that's a cool thing that they just seem to never bring up again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which is whatever. I don't fucking care.
Yeah. So he gets out. He gets his lightsaber.
He draws it using the Force.
Yes.
He just brings it to him.
Smashes through the glass.
Yeah. And then I don't even remember what happens before this, but Luke was right.
Oh yeah.
Luke was right.
He says certain that an Alliance assault would come in any second from that direction. Luke was right.
Yeah. Because they just park the Scardia Voyager on Yavin 4.
I love
That's what happened.
Their team of like Alliance commandos is Mon
Mothma.
Han Solo,
In her
Chewbacca,
gown, I assume?
Yep, Leia, 3PO, and R2D2.
It's all their friends
And
and
they-
rebels in a captured TNT.
Which is a treaded
Yay!
neutron torch
Yeah. It's used to shoot at Trioculus.
to punch a gaping hole
Oh yeah,
in the
I
aft
think-
of the
yeah.
golden Imperial spaceship. I didn't know it was golden until now.
Yeah. I feel like it hasn't been described as golden.
I don't think it's been described at all.
It's just a ship. It's different from the space station Scardia.
What's the Scardia Voyager?
Yeah.
He says it's a simple computation is how they track them. C-3PO
Sure.
does.
Whatever.
And then he just describes like following them.
Yeah. And then Han's like, "That's the last time we send you after macabre mushrooms."
Everyone laughs.
They laugh.
Yeah. He says, I have an idea. And then he goes into the TNT and brings out a protective outfit that was designed as a heat shield. It even included a helmet.
Because he can't use the
That's pretty convenient.
tubular
that was in
transport.
there.
So he
I guess,
finds like
yeah.
a heat-proof suit. So he jumps down a vent into the center of the planet.
Miles.
Yeah,
He goes miles down on a
He
vent.
describes how it's not like a slide at Hologram Fun World. It's just a
That's
a
what you're
drop.
talking
That's
about.
what I noted earlier. He knew that Hologram Fun World had a ride through a black tube that twisted its way through a mile of darkness. But scary as that ride was, it was more like a slide. He's scared of a
He's
ride.
like 35.
I made the note here. Everyone is a child. Everyone in these books is a child with a child's interests and fears.
Yeah.
But I don't have to be afraid of the dark.
Yeah.
And I think this is quipping happening here, where Luke's talking about how he's going to drop into the Weather and Climate Control Center, and On says, "That sounds crazy to me," and Leia says, "Totally crazy." But Luke says, "It's our only hope. We don't have any other choice."
I mean, they're like, what the fuck do we care about Ken?
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah.
Luke's like, my best friend in the whole world,
Well,
that kid.
The
Here's
kid that
another
I
idea.
shit on all
The
the
kid I
time.
hang out with that
Here's
lives in my room.
Here's another idea. If you're going to be sliding down a vertical hole miles into the earth,
Yeah.
why not do it through the tubular transport hole?
Yeah.
The elevator's at the bottom.
You'll just land on it,
Right.
use the Force or whatever.
Yeah, and then you just cut it lightsaber it out. They do use the
Right.
Force to move it later. Why not just use it then to move it up?
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Right, but he's got this gray canister with a heat suit in it.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And
sure.
also, there was not a ride like a tubular transport at
Oh,
Hologram Fun World.
And the cloud of
Right.
rising hot steam can slow his descent.
This might be the
it
longest
doesn't make any
episode.
sense. We have to, I want
We have to go. We have to get through this.
We're almost there. We're almost there.
Kadan, Luke gets there, right?
Yeah, Kadan says,
Just
"Is
let
it
the boy
possible to remove
go."
the data files?"
Yeah, they say no.
Nope.
It's not.
He says, just take the damn computer.
Yeah, they pull
Yeah.
the computer out.
It's a MacBook.
And then they shut down the city.
Yeah, it shuts down the city. They accidentally shoot the computer after that.
Yeah, so they turn off all the droids. A stormtrooper falls over, like when Luke's like there. He has his lightsaber and it's causing all this chaos. So a stormtrooper like falls down
Yeah.
and shoots the computer.
He melts the controls
So
of the computer.
he shoots at Kadan, who dives
Yeah,
out of
yeah.
the way.
No, Kadan
And
shouted.
then blows up the computer.
It's
And then
such a
Luke-
Trioculus moment.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Luke, Ken, and Zebo jump into the tubular transport.
yeah, but the whole
Just
city,
chaos breaks out in the
Yeah,
span of
yeah.
2 pages.
Luke jumps out and says, "Greetings from Spain," and then
Yeah.
everyone's like, "Oh!"
yeah, falls over, starts
Yeah.
shooting,
The
and they're just
stormtroopers they still keep shutting down the city, which is going dark.
The Mooka and DJ are left motionless in the darkening city.
They do get Zebo out.
So they do get the Mooka out.
They got the Mook
He'll
out.
kish
Zebo's okay.
another
Yeah,
day.
he's fine.
Chapter 7, The Red Carpet.
Hollywood, baby.
The Survivor Bush Nights.
Outside the Chinese theater, Luke and Ken were silent.
Yeah, so they're in the elevator now.
Yes.
Rising at an incredibly fast speed.
All
in
the
case you
villains
forgot somehow.
We're left behind to rot in a dark cave.
But there's all still alive. The elevator stops. halfway. They use the Force together.
Yeah,
Well,
Ken
they have a
uses
little
the Force
they have
or
a
something.
crisis.
Yeah.
Well, Ken is like so torn about.
I know. He's like, I guess I'm evil.
Yeah, and Luke's like, my dad is Darth Vader. you
Yeah, so
idiot."
shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
seriously.
Help me use the Force. And
Yeah.
then Ken, I guess, uses the Force for the first time?
No, he
used the Jedi mind trick
Yeah.
on
Oh,
that
yeah.
taxi driver.
Yeah.
To like, that's right, to like steal a cab or something.
Yeah.
But until all Luke can do with the Force, like, is open doors and move elevators. Like,
Yes.
Yeah.
this is the thrilling conclusion
pretend to
of
be
a
Kadan.
Star Wars series. Is like, what if we moved an elevator and then through the power of friendship, I guess, do that.
And the greatest scene, one of the greatest scenes in the series, Triclops. Oh, because after that.
Yeah, yes,
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
that's
Okay,
right.
so they
we
get
cut
out.
right back to Triclops, and before they could give him the macabre mushroom elixir, he sits down to write a letter, and
Yeah.
he finishes it, and then goes insane.
He goes
It says he goes
fucking
from a
nuts.
passive and gentle person to an angry maniac with superhuman strength. He turns into an ape. He crushes their guns with his bare hands, picks up the guards, throws them around
He is
the room.
behaving exactly as if he had taken bath salts.
Yeah,
Look at this shit.
he bends the bars of the cell, I guess he's in,
Yup.
and just sprints off through
He
the
goes
evidence.
into the
leaves.
jungle.
Yeah.
When this happened, this is before they used the Force.
Yeah,
move
yeah,
the
it's like
elevator.
happening at the same time. I
Exactly.
think. Yeah,
so
yeah.
I was like, oh, he feels that his son is in danger.
Yes.
He's gonna go
Gonna
help.
save them, yeah.
Actually, no. Ken
Well-
and Luke save themselves, and then they come back, and it's like, yeah, Triclops went nuts and left.
You should have seen it. It was
We don't
crazy.
know where
Pulled the
he
bars
is,
open.
and it's crazy because we'll talk in a second about how they resolve or don't resolve the Lost City. But when Ken's like, when they're like, well, he doesn't have a ship, so there's no way off this single moon, and
Yeah.
Ken says, can we go look for him? My father that I just found out is my father, and they say, no, idiot, we have to plan a wedding.
Yeah, yeah.
We've got a big day.
Oh my god. So like that like this is the one time we don't see Triclops through a camera in this whole
Oh
book.
yeah, yeah.
And he just like goes ape shit and leaves.
Yeah.
He runs into the jungle to just like live his life.
Just sprints out.
The wedding.
Yeah, let's get to the wedding. Let's get to the
Seized
fucking
by
wedding.
Well,
no,
first
we
they
got to
were-
talk about how the Lost City, right? They all are just outside the tubular transport, and they're like,
Oh,
"What
they're
if
all
we
just
just
stuck.
steal it?" And then
Oh,
they
yeah,
say,
yeah.
"Well, there's steam vents. Presumably, they could use those." And then they're
Yeah.
like, "Well,
But they turned
sounds
off
like
all
a
the
later
power,
problem."
So aren't you gonna have to go down there to fix it anyway? Since the planet turns into like a desert if you don't have these systems operating.
Yeah.
I don't know, but Leia basically just like knocks off the remotes,
Yeah.
the controls of
Yeah.
the elevator.
Yep.
Yeah.
Luke is nice to C-3PO and Chewbacca for a second. He says that they're part of his family.
Yeah, that was uncharacteristic
Yes,
of him.
3PO is doing normal droid things, putting
Yeah.
himself down and less than human. He
Also,
says, it seems we're one big happy family again. That is if the word family isn't reserved for only humans and can be expanded to include droids.
I mean, you could assume that that's what Luke means by family.
They're like, forget all of this, whatever's happening right now. We need to go have a wedding.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the most important thing.
Also, Luke telling Ken how to use the Force. He says that the power behind the light of the stars is the
Yeah,
Force.
that-
I was
is that
what the
from
fuck?
anything?
no.
No, God, no.
Crazy.
It's very weird.
It's very poetic. Sometimes they like
They
I don't
try to
know,
say something,
Yeah, they try to say something.
but don't stick the landing at all.
So it says that the last anyone had seen of Triclops, he escaped into the rainforest, his third eye staring out the back of his head at the spin troops who tried in vain to go after the prisoner and capture him.
Which again, he has long white hair. Is he just
Yeah.
like running with
Yeah.
it parted with his hands?
Yeah,
But
it's
he
got,
did
like, a
leave.
back
He
part.
left a letter for Ken to open.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, also, Ken feels a pang of sadness. He'd never see DJ or return home again. That past was behind him. He's now completely on his own. Never talks about home or the people that raised him.
No.
Yeah.
They were just droids.
They
Who
were
cares?
just droids. Yeah.
The letter says that, like,
It's mushy.
yeah, he says,
Yeah.
like, the things I must do in the days ahead will surely shock you.
Hey,
All I can say, do not believe all the terrible things you will hear about
no,
me.
mine says the terrible things you
Zvil?
hear
I
about.
think,
Zvil,
that's, I think
yes.
that's the ebook.
Okay. got
Yeah,
it.
I don't think that, yeah.
Trust in me, and if the day
Let's
comes
find
when
out.
you can no longer have faith in me, then trust in the Force as your Jedi mother, Kendalina, did. Perhaps then you'll discover that there is goodness in my heart, my pacifist heart that wants to
Yeah.
end the Imperial
It's
regime.
normal in the book.
I guess so. Yeah. And then Ken anytime he has important info, does the same thing.
Yep.
He keeps it a secret.
Yeah.
Yep.
Luke will never know.
Which maybe there would be a future book when he's like, I actually didn't tell you. I got a letter from Tricops that said this thing. And they would go, why couldn't you tell me this before? And it's like, DJ.
Oh, here we go. So they're like, can we go look for Triclops? And Luke's like, Mon Mothma probably would be fine with that. But there's a lot of jungle and caves. And also there's a wedding happening.
Yeah,
so.
sounds hard. His father, yeah.
It says, there are other things we must worry about, Ken, such as getting ready for Leia and Han's big day.
Great, okay.
Next sentence. Before Ken knew it, that eagerly awaited day had arrived.
Hey, we're already there.
So
It's a very special day for Luke, too, for he would be giving his sister's hand in marriage to his good friend Han Solo.
you know what? When my sister told us that she and her husband were getting married, my brother said, wow, I'm getting a brother. So I think maybe, Luke is feeling something real here.
Yeah.
I guess so.
He gets a deadbeat brother.
Yeah.
Cool. My sister's marrying a loser.
I love
Yeah.
this shit. This is the next sentence. To Luke, the wedding day seemed very much like the festive day of celebration they once had after the explosion of the first Imperial Death Star. The location was the same.
It's just so
That's
like,
it.
do one of those things,
That's
I
it.
guess.
Yeah.
And then
people
they-
were happy. That's it.
But
There
then
was-
we see the titular red wedding carpet.
Oh my
C-3PO
god.
and R2 are best droid.
Best. They both
share
are
the
best
title.
droids.
They're
Yeah.
on the bride
Which you know
side, right?
3PO is
Yeah.
not happy about. Yes.
No.
Yeah. They're bridesmaids.
No,
Bride
3PO's
droids.
like,
Come on.
he helped
just-
the plan. He
all-
helped the guest list.
All he does is scoot.
Yeah. All he did was scoot, and I was planning the guest list.
But they're showing off their gleaming polish.
yeah.
Yeah, they were shining just like in the movie.
So now I couldn't believe that we were in the final couple paragraphs because it switches to an internal monologue for Leia.
Yeah.
She has a
When
vision.
She has a vision
Yeah.
of the future using
Yes.
the Force, which earlier in this book it calls her a Jedi Knight, which again, she is not.
No, she
Don't
just
think
is
so.
trying to
Yeah.
be ish. She could use the Force.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she's not a Jedi Knight.
No. Either way,
Speculation about her.
she
her children.
speculates and she sees their future. They're in their sky house.
Wow.
And Han's got a child on each knee. But are they twins? And she wonders, could we even handle twins? Which I wrote down, you could not handle twins because, baby, Han is not helping.
No, that's all you.
He is only interested when the potential boys are old enough to work on cloud racing cars.
And only
Yeah.
if it's a boy.
Weirdly
Yes.
enough, they do end up having twins.
Yep.
They have 3 children.
Yeah.
They have twins, Jason and Jaina, and then Anakin is
but
the third
not
one.
this Han and Leia.
Yeah, no,
No,
I
no,
mean,
no.
it's, yeah.
This Han is definitely not the same Han as in the other stuff.
This
Yeah.
Han gets a vasectomy without telling her.
Oh,
Which
yeah.
like
Yeah.
you're still dead on though because his oldest or is a twin, one of the boy twin. He becomes a Sith Lord.
Yeah.
And the daughter kills
Jason.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jason.
And then Jaina kills him, and Anakin is killed by the Yuuzhan Vong.
There you go.
So they end up with one child at
so
the end, and Chewbacca died too.
She, like, comes
And
out
the
of,
one child is the one that kills the other one?
Yeah.
That's cool.
she comes out
That's
of her
actually sick.
haze, looks at Han from down the aisle, and that's the end of the book.
Yeah. Oh, that's it. It just he looked at her adoringly and returned and smiled as she prepared to take her first steps down the aisle. Glossary.
The end.
Arachnor.
The end.
Arachnor.
So-
Listen, finishing the book this morning while I ate some overnight oats, seeing sentences like, and the day was suddenly there,
I
and
had-
also the book's over. I was
I
like,
finished this book last night whilst eating overnight oats.
cool.
Yeah.
I also love that they always name something really fucking stupid with an A.
Yeah.
Because like Arachnor, Eva Bush Spice, they're always the first things in the
There they are, right
glossary.
next to each other.
Yeah.
And then Banach is the next one.
Oh, that's the planet where they send
It's like through your
Thistleborn?
Kindle.
So I looked. I tried to find some info because this book does not end. This series doesn't end.
If anything, the only ending that feels like something that should happen at the end happens at the beginning when Trioculus dies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is
And
called The Final Hours, is that
Yep.
chapter.
there's the reveal.
Whereas the
but
actual last chapter
the
is called
reveal
Red Carpet.
in the Star Wars movies is in the second one, so that there's some form of payoff for it in
Yeah.
the third one.
A
Right.
resolution.
Or you can
Not
see how
so
the
here.
characters react.
Yeah. It just ends. I looked up, were there supposed to be more? This all I got was
Yeah.
Google AI saying yes there were, but then the sources that it actually linked to didn't say anything about
Yeah,
it.
yeah. 'Cause
I
Google
tried
AI just
searching
Google
lies.
AI just wants to see
Yeah.
more.
Yeah. I have no idea. However, I do have I guess it's a surprise for you two
Oh.
Paul?
because just a minute.
Did you get a cameo from Hollis?
Those must
No,
be expensive.
but user Quality Autism on fanfiction.net has written books 7, 8, and 9.
What the fuck?
what?
Yeah, and they were originally written in Hungarian, but they've been translated.
Oh,
so
good.
That's like the Shakespeare is so much better than the original Klingon.
Klingon.
Yeah, yeah.
Book 7 is Shadows of Obi-Wan. Book 8 is Legacy of Doom, and Book 9 is The Admiral's Wrath.
Whoa.
Akbar?
These are like
He's
12.
so annoying.
He's so upset that no one listens to him at
They're
parties.
12 to 13,000 words long.
Wait,
Holy
how much is
shit.
that?
It might be longer than. Let me see if I can get a word count.
These
Word
can't be
count.
that long.
There's a lot of words, like when they say also at the end of a sentence.
Yeah, there's a lot of extra fluff in here.
I can't believe this. What is it? Original
Oh.
autism?
Quality autism.
Quality autism.
Lost City of the Jedi, again, this is according to Google AI, is 98,000 words.
But-
it also says part of the Star Wars Jedi Trials series, which it's
Jedi
not.
Trial series. What the
You
hell?
know what? It doesn't matter. I don't know if we'll ever read those books.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll do like a limited thing.
Because they're not the
In this one, it says a
The
different.
Davids.
It says a different author. Oh wait, this is a different. There's
I mean,
another book called The Lost City of the Jedi, or is AI just awful?
I think AI is
AI
just
is awful,
awful.
yeah.
I think
okay.
it's just lying.
Can you see word count on Kindle?
You know what? It doesn't matter.
It matters to me.
No.
So we're gonna read those next week.
I mean, that sounds quite long. Maybe we will. Maybe we won't. I don't know. I'm gonna try to just enjoy this brief moment.
Consider this
Yeah.
Return of the Jedi or Revenge of the Sith and assume there's nothing coming later.
Yeah. Although
Until it does.
I did tell you a really good idea that I
You
had
did.
all my ideas.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
yes.
But-
This isn't the end of this podcast.
No. And
No.
We do think we got some pretty good ideas. Well, I had a good idea. You two didn't.
The galaxy
contribute
is
anything.
it's a vast
Uh,
place with
but-
many stories to tell.
Yeah.
We're
So
gonna keep doing this, not like now.
we're gonna do this in bursts,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
like seasons.
Yeah.
But this has been contrary to how the experience of reading these books are. This has been very fun.
This has been fun.
It's been a good time. It's also given us so much fodder to text each other just garbage.
Absolute. It's
You-
like poisoned us.
I know, and in a way, documenting it is the only way to consume these books because otherwise it has completely left my mind. I'm
Yeah.
gonna go back through and do editing, and I'm gonna remember things that have completely left my mind.
We were
But,
playing Repo, and we
yes.
were all typing lines from these books.
Were we?
Or some of them, yeah. There's a few greetings from Spins in there.
There were some greetings
Oh,
from
yeah,
Spin.
yeah.
greeting from Spin.
Yeah, but stay tuned to this
Space.
this space station Scardia. No, stay tuned to this feed. We're gonna keep releasing other things here. We might do other books too that are not just Star Wars.
Yeah. Good
we've,
luck.
We've talked about doing Animorphs.
Mhm.
Talking about the Hork-Bajir
Which I haven't read
and
Animorphs in
killing
ages.
Hitler.
Yeah.
Which is what happens there. But I guess to you and yours, I would say dark greetings.
Yep.
Any other like closing thoughts about this series that we've traveled through?
Where would you place this one? Last time we
Where would I
This
place
one's on
this
the
one?
this one's on the bottom for me, I think.
really?
Yeah.
The absolute bottom.
This one's on the
What was
absolute
the other
bottom.
No, Lost City of the Jedi is worse.
Yeah, but this just retreads the Lost City of the Jedi. Like we don't even have
Yeah.
Baji.
This
Or
one,
or Triakios getting shot by his own people.
it did have Hissa death. It did
Yeah.
have Zorba eating dinner,
Okay, yeah.
which was pretty good. But those are both in the middle
Yeah.
of the book.
Maybe I put it on level with Lost City.
It
of the
feels
Jedi.
so small. This
Yeah.
one.
I'm gonna put it. It's also such a fucking letdown for the last book, even though, like,
Yeah.
obviously,
Your
of course it is, but,
expectations
like,
are already on the
Jesus.
floor.
Yeah.
It should have just been a
I think
Zorba story.
Lost City is still the worst. That was the hardest one to read. Where I was like, I don't think I can do this podcast anymore if this is what they're like from now on. I
Yeah.
think Queen of the Empire made me angrier than this one.
Yeah.
Was that the last one, right?
Yeah, that
But
one. Was
that one at least
Decoy
gets some
shit.
emotions out of you.
Yeah,
Is that that's the one with Hologram Fun World?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
No,
it's
that book was
annoying. It's
hard
really
to read.
annoying. but
Biffifus the Mistifus.
I think
birth
the,
certificates.
the experience
the
of
Zorba's press gag. that
this one was
ruins
easier
Disneyland.
to read to me.
This one was
but-
like readable. It was annoying and
awful,
stupid, but
yeah.
like
It took so much out of me. I had not had this much trouble getting through one of them until
Yeah.
last night. Which, like, maybe it's just because it was the end, and maybe because I texted you guys, I'm like, I forgot about it, and Jacob said, "Do you want to delay again?" And I said, "No, I
No.
want to be rid of this.
Yeah.
I don't want to do this anymore." I don't know. I put this on the bottom. I have to give props to the Davids for how much they like aligned in weird ways with the Star Wars that was yet to come.
Yeah.
I mean, like, you don't have to give them many props.
I think JJ was like, what's some Star Wars shit I can pull from that no one's read?
Yeah. Oh, what's this? Prophets of the Dark Side. Palpatine's the grandpa?
Great.
Let's do that.
Yeah, I think it's more just the dumbest answer is the most simple for
Yeah.
them.
Listen, we got some good goofs out of them.
No ecological
great-
thing, I think, is what bothers me.
Yeah.
It was missing something.
Yeah.
We did learn though.
No
that-
Lando ruining everything.
we learned that Jacob and I were simple idiots when we were kids.
Yes, because we had nostalgia for these books. And
Yeah.
remember them
Especially
fondly.
for oh
Zorba.
god, not for Zorba, for the one after Zorba.
Well, I had the fondness for Zorba. You
Mission
Queen of
from
the
Mount
Empire
Yoda. I had
Mission
Queen of
from-
the Empire
was the one
nostalgia.
you were.
Yeah.
I just can't believe I've read these books. These are the only EU
Yeah, that's
I've read.
wild. Yeah, that
This
sucks.
is it.
Yeah.
And like, listen, the covers of them all look awesome.
Yes.
They all have cool titles.
It's fucking Drew Struzan who made all the movie posters.
Yeah, they look amazing.
Yeah.
Zorba looks amazing with the beard.
Yes.
Especially when he's photoshopped with Anna Kendrick?
No, with Kristen Bell.
Kristen Bell, sorry.
Check those out on
Google Images.
Yeah.
They come from some weird
And like, the
Yeah.
illustrations
Blog.
are really funny. 3PO, spot on.
Yep.
3PO and
The
Zorba.
David's got 3PO.
Fantastic. I don't think they interact once.
No.
No.
And
Does
Zorba
Zorba-
vanishes from this book.
I don't
Yeah.
even remember Zorba talking to almost anyone else from the Rebel Alliance. Like he talks to Leia.
He talks to Ken and drugs him.
Does he talk? He has Leia, right?
Leia.
Or no, he wants
Does
her.
he? He wants Leia
He only
dead, but
talks
he
to
never
Ken.
interacts
He's
with
like a peripheral
he never
character.
actually catches her. Right?
He always just-
Lando.
He does talk to Lando
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then steals his.
Yeah.
He wins Cloud City.
Yeah.
That like.
And
Zorba
then
the
I guess
Hutt's
just
revenge.
strips
Yeah.
the slot machines and has them
Gives
ready
them
to sell.
Jawas. 100 of them, no less.
Yeah.
Did he lose the casino in the last one?
He was just
No,
doing
he just
poorly.
left.
That's why he went
No,
to
but don't the
Hologram Fun
cops
World.
right away like give it over to?
no,
they
they
just
just give over Triax's
Yeah, they just
body.
take Trioculus.
Oh,
Because he runs to
right.
Tatooine to
Right.
start some kind of like
For-profit prison,
Yeah.
Where there used to be a retirement home for aged aliens.
Did you
Yes.
watch the video I sent on Discord?
I skipped around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like somebody else talking
It's
about
like a
this.
6-minute.
For a second, I thought I was worried it was someone doing the same thing as us, but no.
Turns out you can talk about
people
this in
have
less than
talked
10
about
minutes.
these, but yeah, it's-
Yeah, but we dug deep. We
Instead,
dug
we
deep.
talked
This
about
hour's
it
over.
for-
This is over 2 hours.
Over
this
2 hours.
episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, but yeah, thanks for listening to this here Galactic Book Club, folks.
Yeah, it bears repeating that if you want the video version, you just have to go to Astrogoblin's Patreon at patreon.com/Astrogoblin.
I've got a bad feeling about this.